Hey guys, welcome to the Power Network. I'm Amy. I recently saw Sam and Colby on Theo Vaughn's channel talking about their real ghost stories, and I thought, what a perfect topic for the Paranormal Files on our channel. We've all got that story we can't explain, the shadow in the hallway, the voice that shouldn't be there. For me, it was the reptilian by the closet. Maybe for you, it was that moment that made your skin crawl. Well, this is the Paranormal Files, true tales of the unexplained, and we'll be the judges actually of if it's true or false. Stick around. I'm rolling credits while the rest of the Power crew drifts in. Shout out to my replay crew. Love you, babies, for always, always, always holding it down for me.
Pick me up off the floor I've fallen down.
And if you're not subscribed, why are you not subscribed? I would really, really, really love to have you as a Power subscriber. If you really like my content, be sure to become a Dragonfly, and that's our membership, and it's $2.99 a month. I release all my videos early. We have special emojis over in the chat room. I kind of share things ahead of time with my Dragonflies, and I go live sometimes just for the Dragonflies. It's a way that I can support you guys and give you more content, and it's a way for you to support our channel. It's $2.99 a month, and I would love to have you.
And there is the link if you want to become a Dragonfly. Like I said, we would love to have you. If we could just get started doing the algorithm dance party that I like to do, and you just warm up your fingers and just start warming them up and dancing them right up to the hearts and thumbs up buttons. Helps us go out into the algorithm party out there. Bring more people back to the party. It's just a free way to help me out, and it's really, really appreciated. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you're doing okay. I was going to do a conspiracy live today, but we're going to plan B, and we're just going to do this because I do enjoy watching. Do you guys like Theo Von? I like watching comedians because life is so intense that I'm a Gen Xer and I got to get my laugh out. So, and I like snarky, stupid kind of humor. And so he sort of appeals to me because he says the things that other people want to say, but they won't say. Kind of like me. I kind of do that. I say the things that aren't always popular. But anyway, I was watching him today and he had hold on. He had two paranormal investigators on. They're kind of the new hit, Sam and Colby. Here, let me show you who I'm talking about. And then I thought we'd go in and look at some of the Theo Von interview and then just like go around the internet and get some real ghost stories. I have one or two of my own that I'm going to share. So it's just going to be the Paranormal Files today. And maybe later, I'm going to do my Florida Woman Friday. Okay, so let me get my screen all situated for you guys. Okay. So this is Sam and Colby. In the earlier part, we're not going to watch the early portion of the Theo Von video, but apparently these two guys met in junior high and they started paranormal investigating in high school. And then they moved on to doing, now they have their own show. I think they're on TV now. So they're still like, I think still in their teens, but here they are.
Today we're going to be reacting to some of the most terrifying clips ever captured.
And what we do here is I'll play a lot of clips. I'll read a lot of stories. I might not show them all. I might talk over them. But what I do for fair play use is I will put them over in the YouTube show notes. We do this to cite our sources and for fair play uses. Today, we're coming to you on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So hi, everyone. Just be sure to give us love on the platform you're coming to us on, and be sure to share us. That helps out a ton.
Captured inside people's homes.
And then at the end of each clip, we're going to do some haunted house trivia.
Loser of that trivia has to launch themselves into this table. I don't know why.
Let's get started.
The first one is ghost attacking a baby and mom at home.
It's an image Heather and Josh say is haunting their home.
What? Wait, was that thing walking? Was that a ghost?
Caught on the couple's nanny cam video a few weeks ago, what appears to be something moving in front of the baby crib.
What? I thought that was her. That's insane.
I don't know, you guys. They might be a little too dramatic for me, but what do you guys think?
A full-on apparition.
I didn't even react because I thought that was like a human.
If that just happened in a home, that's one thing.
I mean, maybe I need to be a little more dramatic. I don't know. I'm pretty dramatic as it is, but I just don't. Like, if I see an apparition, well, I don't know. If I saw one in person, I might be like, what? But watching it, no, probably not.
This is happening right next to your baby's crib. That baby is in danger.
The so-called ghost scratched her daughter Lily and attacked her too.
Oh my God,
It
wait.
scratched the baby?
It's not just like a Casper the Ghost nice ghost. It's like a demonic poltergeist scratcher. If this is the first clip and we thought there was a person actually walking, it's just going to get worse from here. All right, so your first trivia question. Are you ready?
Yep.
So think back to the Winchester Mystery House.
Winchester Mystery House!
Got it.
What was the purpose of Winchester Mansion's bizarre architecture?
The architecture, the paranormal purpose of the Winchester Mystery House, I think, was to build so confusingly that the spirits were confused and they couldn't catch up to her. Does that make sense?
They couldn't catch up to her?
Miss Sarah Winchester thought she was being followed.
So the answer is to confuse the spirits of the house.
Perfect! So I fucking nailed that.
I thought that it was because she just was told by the spirits to do it.
So you would have gotten this wrong?
But it wasn't my question.
What was that dance move, bro? I've never seen you do that in my entire life.
Playing the accordion. All right, next one. A little girl's shadow figure in the kitchen.
Okay.
Oh!
Pershka walks into the kitchen and captures the figure of a little girl.
Oh, that actually gave me goosebumps.
Wait, that looked like the Grudge Girl.
I hate that. How have you never seen this clip? That seems terrifying.
Oh, this is a crazy video.
2 shadow figures in your house, guys? Have you ever had a shadow figure in your house? Let us know. But moving on.
I've never had a shadow figure in my house, but I had a friend who had a shadow figure in their house. And oddly enough, I saw this shadow figure. I was visiting her and I kept seeing a shadow in her. It was in her hallway. And I said to her, do you have a shadow person? And she was like, oh, you saw him? And I was like, yeah, I've been seeing them. And it's weird. It's creepy. I don't like it. I do wonder what shadow people are. What do you think shadow people are? So this is Sam and Colby, and let's pop over to Theo Von, and they're going to tell one of their paranormal ghost stories that happened to them on their show.
Steve is an amazing person, and he is a close friend of mine. I mean,
ruled it in court as a death by paranormal. And actually one of the presidents went to that location just to see the demons and confirmed that it was haunted. So I don't know if that's the government getting behind paranormal, but they have acknowledged things like that.
wow. I can read this case here.
Don't you think it's interesting that the government is starting to get behind the UFO stuff and the paranormal stuff? Does it scare you guys that the government's doing that?
Yeah, this one's really interesting.
The only widely cited case in which a death was officially attributed to paranormal causes is the Bell Witch haunting in Adams, Tennessee, specifically the 1820 death of John Bell Sr. John Bell, dude, and I think he's also the lead singer for Widespread Panic as well.
Love him.
He's had many lives.
yeah, he's had many lives, dude. According to numerous sources, John Bell's death was attributed by his family and several contemporaries to the Bell Witch, a supernatural entity that tormented the Bell family beginning in 1817. The case is notable because Tennessee is reported to have recognized John Bell's death as caused by this supernatural, making it unique in American legal and folklore history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is the only cited death that is like recognized as paranormal.
Wow.
Most people think like, hey, no one's died because of the paranormal. No one gets hurt, but there's a lot of people that get hurt, and there is this one death that people have said. And I think this is the case as well that a president at the time went to this location too.
John Bell's phenomenon grew so, and this is on Perplexity, the phenomenon grew so intense that John Bell developed a mysterious illness, and after finding a strange vial of black liquid next to his bed, oh, that would trip me out. If I even find like a girl's gum next to my bed, I can't even sleep good. His son tested it on a cat, which died suddenly. The Bell Witch allegedly claimed credit for poisoning John Bell, who died on December 20th, 1820.
Why would the kid give it to the cat? Like, oh, here's some black tar liquid. Like, kitty, come here. It's like,
that's the most kid shit ever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, fuck this cat.
Let's see if he dies too.
Yeah, he's like, I miss my dad, but fuck this cat.
Fuck that cat.
The U.S. president who was most famously associated with a visit to the Bell Witch Cave was Andrew Jackson. As a general and later as president. Jackson reportedly visited the Bell family.
I remember, I think, an American Haunting in like 2005-ish. It was when I was in the paranormal. I remember going and seeing that movie, and it was on the Bell Witch.
Property in Adams, Tennessee, during the height of the Bell Witch disturbances. According to legend and multiple historical accounts, Jackson and his entourage experienced unexplained phenomena and chose to leave early, with Jackson famously quoted as saying he would rather face the entire British army than spend another night with the Bell Witch.
Damn. Isn't that crazy?
Andrew Jackson.
Think?
Bro, Ajax couldn't handle that broad.
And he's credible too. It's not just some random like homeless guy they brought over to assess the situation. Like they brought the president who was like, dude, I'm not doing that ever again. Dude, it's crazy.
This guy wasn't taking DMT,
Yeah, this is a credit guy had a sword.
He's like, I can't do shit here, guys.
Incredible guy. Dude, that's wild though.
Right?
It makes me think about how like over the years, like schizophrenia and these different things, like we've given a lot of things a scientific term now.
I do wonder how much stuff is actually paranormal or spiritual attacks opposed to mental. I think that we do put some I think psychic attacks, paranormal attacks do cause mental issues. So I just wonder, I really wonder. And I also wonder, like, I've been watching this woman who had schizophrenia and is saying, like, if you believe her or not, and I mean, I have no reason not to believe her, that she basically cured it through food and diet. And so how much of our food and diet is making us physically and mentally ill? Because especially in the United States, our food is really bad for us. It's just, I'm a Gen Xer, and the food I grew up on, all packaged crap. I think I've got autoimmunes, and I really believe that it all has created this perfect storm of how I feel, and how I feel is like crap a lot of the times. And I'm just desperately trying to feel better. But anyway, getting back to it, I have seen this woman is curing herself of schizophrenia through food and exercise. And I know it's like a lot of woo-woo stuff. And with having autoimmunes, I can't tell you how many times people have told me to try this remedy or that remedy. And yeah, I've tried it, but it doesn't work. But eventually maybe something will work. And is it a combination of stuff? But what do you guys think? Do you think that spiritual and psychic attacks cause mental illness.
Also to make them marketable to medicine. But you don't think about how many of those things could just be also spiritual.
Just for reference, my BA is in psychology and sociology. My major was sociology. My minor was psychology. I was like an intake worker for foster care. Not foster care. I was an actual foster care worker. That was my first job. That was like the hardest job I ever did. But then after that, I did intake, and I worked at a mental health facility, and I did intakes for people with mental health illnesses. And I was oftentimes like the women's social worker in the facility. And I also worked at some domestic shelters as the children's advocate and the women's advocate, or it was women's advocate at the time. Now I guess it would just be person's advocate, but yeah.
Nature.
So I talk a lot about psychology because it's what interests me. I just want to figure people out all the time. And subconsciously, I'm actually trying to figure people out all the time. I've realized that about me. And sometimes when I tell people what my background is, they get a little uncomfortable because they think I'm analyzing them. And I'm not like consciously analyzing you all the time, but I have realized that I'm subconsciously pegging people right away.
You know, I'm not saying that schizophrenia is spiritual in nature,
Morning,
even though I'm sure the spirit is heavily affected, but you just don't know. You don't know what something could have happened in a past life that's now come through and is affecting a spirit in this life, or affecting someone in this life. Yeah. And it's just looked at these days as a semi-common disease that we have, but it's something that's far greater than that, or was used to be deemed that way, you know?
So true. Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Depends on what you believe. Exactly.
Yeah. It did seem more fun back then to believe in stuff too. I think because more people were believing things. Now a lot of our beliefs just like are looking to our phone, and before our beliefs used to like go into the air, you know?
It is really sad.
True.
I feel like, yeah, we're like facing a really secular time of like everyone's just like, like if I don't see it on ChatGPT, then I'm not going to believe it type of thing.
Yeah.
But no one's, like you said, like,
and I feel like the problem is that ChatGPT is still going with the mainstream narrative. And when I say mainstream narrative, I'm telling you like what the government wants us to think. Mainstream narrative is what the government wants us to think. And so ChatGPT is still going with the mainstream narrative.
And like putting themselves out there to actually experience these things. Because at the end of the day, it's so much harder to believe anything online, like anything over a video. Yeah, I wouldn't believe a ghost video from 10 years ago before I started this. And then I only started believing because I physically experienced it myself in person. So I fully empathize with all the people that are online watching our video.
It does make it easier to believe things when you get into it yourself and you experience it. But I don't necessarily recommend everybody go out there and do that. I had my own paranormal group for I think we did it for like 4 or 5 years, and then it morphed into, well, maybe I did that for like 2 years, and then it overlapped into Para Women Radio, and then I kind of stopped doing the it was called Haunted Hillsdale. I stopped doing that, and I was more doing this, and we were interviewing psychics and mediums and paranormal investigators. We interviewed some people from TAPS or from Ghost Hunters International. We interviewed authors. We interviewed Lorraine Warren. And we interviewed I really got into horror movies. And so we were interviewing horror people. We interviewed Pam from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And we interviewed Michelle Tomlinson, and we interviewed Kevin Tinney. He did Night of the Demons and Witchboard. I actually went to Kevin Tinney's house and interviewed him in California. So yeah, the paranormal field is a lot of fun, but it's very, very competitive, and not competitive in a good competitive way. It's like, and I will tear you down to get over you no matter what it takes kind of way. And true crime's a little bit like that, but not quite as intense as the paranormal field. I can tell you there were many days that I cried because something was going on in the paranormal, but I was younger then too, maybe more emotional.
was being like, that's cool and all that you guys do this, but I can't believe it until I see it. So I would encourage a lot of people who are like into this type of thing to actually, go and experience these things or put yourself out there and try, just like with faith.
Do go out there and try it, but don't do it alone. I say, don't do it alone. Don't do it alone for a lot of reasons. Don't do it alone because people are dangerous. You could run into people out there and you need to be protected, especially if you're a woman. Don't go alone because the paranormal can do stuff. It is real. Even if you don't believe in it, I promise you it's real. And don't do it alone. It's just not safe psychically, energetically. Don't do it alone.
It's like if you just try to take someone's word for it, whatever. But if you were to go to church and actually read these things
Sam
and
and
go for it
Colby.
and really put yourself in there.
Theo is one of my faves, and he's been doing a lot of different people. I kind of figured he was going to get into paranormal because he started talking about the Conjuring house and the Matt Rife buying it. So I thought he's going to interview someone, and here's Sam and Colby.
Then you might find God.
Oh, I'll notice the more I pray, the more when I walk into certain rooms or whatever, I could feel like my knees almost tingle a bit. Like I want to hit them.
Yeah,
right? Like I want to hit, I want to hit my knees right there and pray. Right. And it becomes sort of a practice. Like, yeah, for sure. Whatever you practice and lean into becomes more of you, and we probably used to be more connected to the spirit realm overall. I'm sure like Native Americans, especially, were so connected to it and like really lived by it and had a real I have
a theory about Native Americans and all indigenous people. I feel like they're the ones that if we're going to get back into balance with Earth, that we're going to have to listen to them and follow their ways with the Earth to figure things out. And if we can't get that into balance, then I don't think we're going to get. I think we are in end days. If we can't get, if we can't learn to walk in balance with Earth, and I feel like, and this is just my personal opinion. Here you can have whatever opinion you want as long as we're respectful to one another, and I'm always open to hearing your worldly, spiritual views. But I feel like they were placed here on the planet first, and they were given the knowledge of how to care for Earth. And if we would only listen to them, we could get back into balance.
Like a real,
not just that. There's
gigahertz
a lot of things that we have to do, but that's one of the big ones.
Connection with you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Also, you had time to think. Now it's like the second that you go and take a shit, you're just like swiping TikTok or something. It's like not like you have a single moment away from distraction and entertainment. You don't have any second to wonder.
I know. Yeah.
But
I know. It's crazy not to have a second to wonder when we're part of something that's so wondrous. It's like, it's almost baffling, dude. We'll get to the end of our lives, and one of our last thoughts will be like, I was looking at my phone the whole time.
That's a sad thought right there.
So true.
I was just looking at my phone the whole time.
Damn.
Look up from
I'll literally won't even believe I'm dead until I check my phone.
Earlier in this episode, and I will link this episode, we're not going to watch it because we don't watch things in its entirety for fair play use. But earlier in the episode, Theo tells this story about doing some plant medicine, and then he says he doesn't recommend it because he knows that they have a younger audience. But then he goes on to tell the story about doing it, and he said that in the beginning stages of doing it, at first he was like holding on to the earthly stuff, thinking like it was starting to feel really good, but and then he was going into like what he would envision a death experience being, like he was dying. And so he was shocked to realize that when you die, all the earthly crap that is piled onto us starts just lifting off. It just starts lifting off, and it starts to like just not matter anymore. And he started feeling more love, and everything he felt around him was just love. But he was just like holding on to like the earthly stuff in the very beginning. And he was thinking like, I should have sent that email. And then he was like, I'm dead. What does it matter? And it's like, it's just so true. It's like we worry about all these things on earth that really doesn't matter. And I have been starting to think about like that moment when, because if you do believe in another life or an afterlife after this, like I've started to think of that very moment when it happens, and that like release that. And it's so funny that Theo starts talking about it today, because this woman was talking about being a Scorpio and things Scorpio thinks about. And I'm a Scorpio, and it's funny because I have been thinking about it. And not to say I don't, I'm not in any way wanting that moment to come, but I just have been thinking about how like we're programmed to fear that moment, but really that's when all the earthly shit just gets to like drift away, and you remember who you are, and you remember that you probably really love these assholes that have been making your life. Well, I believe in reincarnation, so I think that we make prearranged agreements for these things that we do. And so like all along you really loved these people, or you're worrying about you won't be with these people anymore, or you're worried that these people are going to be really sad without you. And he was saying at that moment he realized that he was gonna be with these people. Like this was just a moment in their time, and it was just a learning thing. And yeah, I really believe in all of that. And I believe there's a God out there. And I believe that we come to earth to learn certain things and to raise certain vibrations, that like we're all come from like a hive, and we're all trying to raise our vibrations to add back up into the hive, which is God. And so I think it's amazing that he had that experience, and just like me never even speaking to Theo Von, he just confirmed like what I believe is happening. And I just think also that we are all as human beings connected, and what's happening right now is just not supposed to be happening. And that's why if it doesn't stop happening, it'll be the end days for us. And then I think that our civilizations have restarted themselves repeatedly. And if we can't get it together, we're at the end. We're either going to blow this shit up or we're going to make it really wonderful. It's at the end. So what do you guys think? Didn't mean to get so deep there. Just trying to do paranormal stories.
Fun.
Did I send that email? Because you're dying.
Swear to God.
Let me tap right back in here just to finish this. The U.S. government has not officially acknowledged the existence of ghosts as real supernatural entities, but there have been legal and cultural instances where haunted properties or ghost stories were referenced because of their impact on property value or cultural significance.
Yeah, there's actually there's like a lot of like movies and stuff, obviously, that are based on like real life hauntings and things like that. Like things happen so crazily, like over decades, or like families get traumatized to the point that they become movies. And what's awesome is you see, especially the recent ones that are happening in the last couple of decades, there's so much documentation of them that it's really crazy to back things up and see these stories. And people sometimes have video evidence or audio evidence of like people getting possessed and things like that. And so it's really, really cool when we get to like go to places like that. Like, for example, I don't know if you just recently saw the Conjuring video or Conjuring
the
movie.
Merle House or the
Smurl House.
The Smurl House. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So the Smurl House Conjuring movie just came out. It's called Last Rites, and that was based on the Smurl House. But that was one of the cases that the most famous demonologist ever, Ed and Lorraine Warren, investigated. And there was a demonic entity that was literally like petrifying this like family for 13 years.
Yeah, they described this demonic entity as like an 8-foot tall lizard man with like red eyes and scaly like scales, I guess you could say, that would physically assault.
Scales, dude.
Physically assault.
I have to say the lizard people scare me, and aliens scare me, and unfortunately for me, that's been one of my biggest paranormal experiences. I had a lizard. Like, I am assuming it was a man. You kind of like, I got the vibe it was a man, but I've never been in a female lizard presence. So, but I'm just going to say it was a man lizard. After I did a paranormal investigation, after this, I'm going to share my lizard story, and then we're going to go into other stories around the internet. It's getting very scary out here with AI and political unrest worldwide. I feel like the veil is becoming thinner between our realms. Jessica, we actually had a psychic medium on, and she said there is no more veil. It's just gone. So, and I believe it. But she also mentioned that for each person has a different size veil. So, like, I don't think that the veil, I don't think the veil is 100% gone, but I think it's thinning daily. And I think eventually it will be 100% gone. I do watch like conspiracy UFO stuff. I've really been watching a lot of that stuff lately. And I saw this one person say that we used to have like a planetary, like military army that used to protect us. And that it's closed down and it will be fully out of function in 2026. So apparently it closed down in 2024. And oddly enough, 2024 is like when we really started hearing governmental stuff, and that they're basically preparing us for 2026 when it's just not, we don't have any protection anymore. But I don't know, take that with what you will.
Jack and Janet Smurl, who were the parents, and like lift them up from their beds and chuck them against the wall.
Holy
Yeah.
shit, dude. And they don't have an HOA or anything?
Exactly, right? Kick this guy out.
That's crazy. Call the plumber.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Dude, but I believe something like this could happen. The Smurl House haunting refers to a series of widely publicized claims of paranormal activity. Will you guys tell us about it? I don't need to read this. What else do you guys know about it? Oh, it says here the family's German Shepherd was reportedly levitated and slammed into a wall.
Yeah, even the dog was attacked, but every single member of the family was attacked. And we're talking like they would be picked up and thrown against the wall, like to the point of like the wife like broke bones because of this spirit. Like a little girl in the family was thrown down the staircase.
A ceiling fan flew off the ceiling and smacked one of the little girls and almost killed her as well. There were sexual assaults. It was like the ghosts were like physically and sexually assaulting the whole family.
It was
crazy.
That's got to be the worst. Because what if your parents come home? It looks like you're jerking off or whatever, or you're sitting there just
experiencing something.
Yeah, experiencing something with yourself that you caused. Jerking off.
I have to say this, though. I did interview Lorraine Warren, and she was a lovely person, but I don't know if I believe in all of the paranormal stuff that they say happened, because, I mean, it's all been pretty much proven that the Amityville horror wasn't quite as Amityville as they tried to make us think it was. And there's some real questionable activities concerning Ed Warren, and I don't mean like paranormal. I mean kind of like liking, this is all alleged, liking girls of not a proper age.
But you're not
But it's
even
not.
doing it.
It's
You're like,
not.
"Mom,
It's
I
literally
swear,
like, this
I
is a
swear."
demon.
And your mom, my mom would still gotten pissed at me. She'd have my mom would have blamed it on me.
Oh,
Like,
shit.
Mom,
It's a demon.
I'm not even looking at it. You know?
Yeah, I can't
But
help
dude,
it.
that's had to be so. How did they come and go in their home? Did you guys go there?
Well, like the Smurl house, we were the first people since the demonologist Ed and Lorraine Warren, like we're the first people to investigate it since then 40 years ago. So it was really, really like a cool experience to be able to go in there and like understand like what was the haunting, like what actually happened there.
And there's 2 conjuring houses. There's one that's really famous in Rhode Island, which is the videos that are being played right now. And then there's this one that we haven't released yet. It's coming out for our finale of Hell month. And yeah, nobody has been there besides Ed and Lorraine Warren like 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Yeah.
And what did it feel different? Did it come at a different time? Did it start differently? Like how do you ease into like a new place that has a haunting, right? That has an energy like that. Like, do you approach it differently on the way there? Like, do you bring certain things with you to set up an atmosphere? Like, do you bring an altar? Like, what do you like? Is there some sort of like precursor to your approach?
Definitely. I mean, especially something like that hasn't been investigated for so long. And actually, at the time, 40 years ago, it was believed that Ed and Lorraine Warren like brought in a priest and they did like an exorcism and got rid of the demon. So like theoretically, this place hasn't really been haunted for the last 40 years. It's just in a regular family home. So when you go back into there, it's mainly like the shell of the home of said spirit. And so in order to like make sure we were able to like contact the same person,
Shannon just did a Paraworld news story on this house, and I remember her saying something like the house sold for a lot of money, like a shocking amount of money, and this house just looks like a little cabin, a little shack in the woods.
we brought in a witch or
A priestess.
a priestess. She's our friend. She actually like has helped us with a lot of these types of things and teaching us about the occult. And she brought in a spirit board, which is pretty much like a good Ouija board. It's not like one of those Hasbro ones you buy at Target. It's like the real deal. Like,
so here, see, the sale, and this is the house right here. The sale of the Conjuring House was a recent event that resulted in a private sale, canceling the planned foreclosure auction. A mystery buyer purchased the property shortly before its scheduled October 31st, 2025 auction. The house, located at 1677 Round Top Road in Burrillville, Rhode Island, was previously sold for 1.5. I mean, I guess it looks bigger when I'm looking at it here because the picture that Shannon showed me was only like, I'd only showed one of the houses, but I mean, still 1.5 million for a haunted house. In May 2022, was previously sold for 1.5 million in May 2022, but fell into foreclosure after the owner was arrested for DUI and her entertainment license was revoked. So I just can't. This house, 1.5 million. God, I hate these ad things. Anyway. $1.5 million. I cannot even. I gotta share my screen. Lost it. This house. Would you pay 1.5 million for that? I can tell you I would not. Although, I mean, I guess like if you're opening it for something to make money off of it, then it would be an investment. So, but I still wouldn't want it. Yeah, I mean, look at the Watts house. That sold recently for far less than it should have. but they obviously are going to make it into like a B&B or something like that. Let me go on and get us back over there. Where is it? There it is.
One a woodpecker would like.
Definitely.
Like homemade, all that stuff. She actually helped with a full on like summoning ritual, and that like brought in the spirits around. And we were able to talk to this thing like on a Ouija board. And what's absolutely crazy about that is like, I never really believed in Ouija boards. I just thought, it was a fun gimmick, like, especially the ones at Target, I guess whatever. But when you do it correctly, like with a witch, it is the most insane experience you've ever had. You put your fingers on this planchette. And
long time no see, friend. I missed you.
And I don't know if you've ever seen a Ouija board, but there's a bunch of like letters and numbers all over this board. And it said that, you move this planchette around and it spells things out. But the feeling is so unlike anything you've ever felt before, where the wood gets pulled out from underneath your fingertips. It is literally, you can feel a different presence pulling you in directions.
Like a magnet almost, of sorts, a magnetism.
We never believed in the Ouija board until doing it like correctly with professional Pythian priestess. And like, I remember the first time we did it with her, like off camera, we were like, did you do that? He was like, no. Like, you definitely did that. And we were like, hell no, because like our fingers were going like,
it was crazy. And it wasn't like this like a little slow thing. It was like sometimes like yanking to like yes or no, or all around the board. We're like, what is happening?
What do you guys think about Ouija boards? I remember we had a Ouija board. We got a Ouija board in the 70s for Christmas. And my grandpa Williamson was a very devout Baptist. And when he saw that, and it was like the Hasbro old, the original spooky looking Ouija boards, the one that always seemed to be possessed kind of Ouija boards. And he was horrified. And anytime he saw us playing with it, he would just beg us. And bless his heart, he didn't take it. He wouldn't just take it from us, but he would beg us for us. And then finally we were just like, okay, because it wasn't that big of a deal for us. And I don't know what he ever did with the Ouija board, but I remember that. And now I wouldn't use a Ouija board because I think that it just allows really low base spirits to come through. I just wouldn't do a Ouija board.
I can't believe
it's like turning on the internet and just inviting anybody to come through. And really the only people that want to come through are the low entities, the ones that did horrible shit in life. You know what I mean? So
it's out of this world.
Well, especially if it's like priestess, what's your number or whatever, then you're like, oh, that's definitely that's Colby.
Exactly.
But that's funny. Like to that point though, like we'd ask questions, especially the first time we did it. We'd be like, the first time we ever did that, the first Conjuring house, we asked the spirit, like, yo, do you like us? I was like, no. It was like, what do you want from us? And it was like, go away. It was like, leave me, give me my peace pretty much. And I was like, damn, okay, they don't fuck with us. Really
Which happens.
You're one of those people, Jessica. It's been a bad week for me too, Kim. I think it's been a bad week for everyone. If you're a woo-woo girl and believe astrologically, Mars is moving into Scorpio, and it's a pretty intense combination.
Honestly, like spirits are just like people, like in real life.
They're lazy.
Like, yeah. I mean, if there's like a bad person you meet in real life, there's probably going to be a bad person in the afterlife. That doesn't mean they're like a demonic thing, but like, yeah, you'll run into like bad apple sort of people all the time that just don't want to talk to you or anything.
Are you a battery for paranormal stuff? I know some people just are.
Understandable.
Yeah, that's wild. You guys, it could just be somebody who's just chilling, somebody's having lunch or whatever, and you guys are bothering them or something.
Exactly.
Like,
be anything.
shut up, dude.
Summon them to a Ouija board and they're like, fuck off. Like, I can't leave.
It's like you're like calling out, like, cold calling somebody and they're like, God, just shut up. Like, I don't want to talk right now.
Or they're like, I'm gay or whatever. You're like, what? It doesn't matter.
What?
You're welcome here either way.
It's all good.
You're safe with us, guys.
Yeah, dude.
That it
like
matters.
a long time ago, people cared about that, but that's totally normal now, dude.
It's just an emotional experience. He's like,
Yeah, it's
really?
like, some ghost has been waiting forever to come out of the closet, and he finally gets it through a Ouija board. And you're like, dude, nobody cares.
He's like, dude, everybody, John is gay.
Yeah, dude.
He's like, all right, thank you.
70% of people are gay, dude. Chill, bro. Chill.
But dude, what was crazy about this like recent experience with the spirit board at the
And this
Smurl
was at the
house?
Smurl house, and this was where the
Yes.
Conjuring was.
Yeah,
the
the Conjuring
new
Last
Conjuring
Rites.
Last Rites movie.
Okay,
yeah.
got it. Where they filmed it at,
No.
where it
No.
allegedly happened at.
Yeah, based on the true story.
Based on the true
They
story.
filmed
of that.
at a replica of this place.
Got
Yeah.
it.
And
And
this tiny duplex.
had this been messed with before? Did it look the same as when back then?
I mean,
It
the
was-
family had lived.
Yeah,
there.
like if you look at the old tapes from Ed and Lorraine Warren, the demonologist that helped try to save this house,
Mhm.
you'll see like exactly the same layout and everything. Like it looks like it did 40 years ago.
Wow.
It's
Mhm.
really
So some of these places, it's like going back in time too.
Definitely. Yeah, time
Whoa.
capsules.
weird.
Yeah, we were doing the spirit board session in the living room of this duplex. And again, like imagine just like a regular house. Like there was literally Cheez-Its like on like the counter and stuff like that. Like yeah, somebody lived there. And we uncovered the craziest evidence about the Smurl family that could actually get us in trouble. No joke. And so like when this comes out, like in on Halloween, dude, it's gonna cause like an uproar in like the paranormal community of things. It'd be crazy.
That's
I
all.
think that's the problem is a lot of people don't close it and then or it just follows them home or you don't really know what you're doing. And does anybody really know what they're doing with the paranormal? I don't think they do. Like they can say they do, but I don't think anybody 100% knows.
Talking
Yes,
about.
sir.
Dude, I wonder if there's like like a bus stop that had like a crazy a lot of people. I'm just trying to think of neat places that aren't like kind of like that aren't like a building or something where you could investigate also. Have there been places like that
Yeah. I mean,
where there's not like an like an entity, like a building, like a
yeah, I mean, like to that point, you would think that everywhere could be potentially
Oh,
haunted,
dude.
right? Like it doesn't have to be a location. It's just that maybe places that are a location have more energy or they were a home in a past life. And so it's like more likely.
mhm.
But like you said, maybe a bus stop or maybe, like a favorite area to play is like on a playground or something like that as a kid. You don't know. Like maybe something has a deeper meaning or connection to a human and that could be haunted. as
Yeah,
well.
there's a lot of times like we'll go to a spot and it's not like haunted by something like evil or scary, but sometimes there was, like a big like for example, we own a spot called Farrar Elementary in Iowa, and it used to be like
4 hour
the hub.
elementary
Farrar.
for our elementary.
Farrar
F-A-R-R.
Elementary.
It's a school.
Mhm.
It's a real school.
Real school.
It's you guys own it.
We own it.
Or
Uh-huh.
principals.
We're principals.
Hell yeah,
Both the
dude.
spirits and the students there.
And is it functional?
It's functional for like ghost hunting tours.
Oh, okay.
It's
So
not like a
It
random
closed
school.
down like I don't
Okay,
know,
it's an
like
abandoned
a couple
school.
decades
Got
ago.
it.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
not like we're
that's
teachers.
sick.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, we own
Yeah,
this.
schools are I feel like places where there's a lot of people that come and go and leave their energy, and schools, especially college towns, tend to be like really haunted. I went to Olivet College in Michigan, and that town was very haunted. I lived in a haunted the house I lived in, well, even the dorm, my freshman, I could like, you know what? I'm gonna get my stories together for Olivet, because there was a paranormal ghost group that even did a series of investigations at Olivet College. But I mean, every fall time there was this professor called Professor Homer, and he would come to my sorority wasn't a sorority, it was a society. We were once a sorority, but we went co-ed, so we were Greek, but we were called a society. And so there were male and females in the Greek society that I went to. And I was the social director one year, and I started having Professor Homer come over, and he would tell the haunted ghost stories of the college. And then as soon as I did that, I remember I don't know if it was psychological or not. I mean, this could be a psychological thing, but I started getting my own ghost stories. One summer I went to the East Coast for a class, and we stayed at a refugee center in Maryland, and we worked there in the refugee center. And then we also traveled around the East Coast. We went into DC and we marched in Take Back the Night. We stayed with some alumni of the college. I interviewed with some, I did my senior paper was on African American women's perspective. And so I went to Howard University and interviewed the sociology professor there. And, you know, it was just like a whole summer of whatever. And it was like very, it was very collegey, you know, like it was an experience. And it was a very good experience. And I came home and I was exhausted. I was really exhausted. And I remember going into my room at the sorority society. And for that summer, I did have a roommate, and I was sleeping, and it was during the day. And she kept coming in and saying, "Amy, are you going to get up? When are you getting up? Are you getting up?" And then finally, I was so pissed off. I went down the stairs and I said, "Patty's not alive anymore." And I said, "Patty, I'm up." And she's like, "Okay, good for you. What's going on?" And I was like, "You kept coming in the room asking me if I was getting up." And she's like, "I haven't been in the room once." So then paranormal stuff started happening. And I've said this before, I am not a fan of the mimic. I do not like these mimic creatures that are able to make people's voices or even manifest themselves as people. Ghosts and stars are your calling. I guess I don't know what else to call it. Like the stars in the sky or the stars in Hollywood. Oh, here it is. You said you're heavy into astronomy. Yeah, I think we're coming into some more eclipses too, or something else is coming up. So it's early November. It's going to be really intense. And we're probably due for another Mercury retrograde because those happen 4 times a year. And I think one more has got to happen soon. Okay, well, let's go on and let's look at some more. Well, here I thought we could take a peek at. Every year I do a live miss celebration where I do 25 days of Christmas, where I go live every day leading up to Christmas. And then on New Year's Eve, I do a 24-hour marathon. But this was a live miss that I did, and it was a replay of an interview that we did like back in 2008. So this was me. I just recently told the story, but I thought this would be fun to re-listen to see if I remembered the story exactly how I had told it before, or if I had forgotten some things. So this was my alien encounter that I had with my paranormal group. I had went up to the upper part. It wasn't the UP, but it was northern Michigan to an old it was a ski lodge, and it was falling down. And I think I picked up some aliens there. You were a Mormon? No, that's Scientology. Never mind. I get Scientology and Mormonism mixed up for some reason. I've been in the past, but believe it or not, became a Mormon. Not anymore. I know a lot. Soul searching, I guess. Yeah, Mormonism is really, really interesting religion. I guess maybe that's why I get it confused with Scientology, because that's another one that is like, huh. I'm going to have to tell you about my most terrifying experience, but I'll have to message it to you. it'll take too long on here. Well, if you want to write it down, and if you ever want Shannon and I to read it out, we can do it. Which, Mormonism or Scientology? Because I kind of feel both of them are culty. Did anyone see American Primeval? That it like came out like 6 or 7 months ago, and it was about, it had a lot of Mormonism in it, and how they basically claimed Utah, and how they were harming people out into the desert that were trying to cross it. They were charging money to cross through. They were calling it their territory and stuff like that. Okay, Kim, we're going to be here for a while. So this is my alien experience. It's pre-recorded. The audio isn't the best. It was recorded back in the day on Blog Talk Radio, when we were just using our phones to do podcasting. I started podcasting in 2005-ish. So, and podcasting, podcasting was just that. It was no video. It was all audio. So,
interested in people that are diseased. Is that true? Do they like just leave those people?
So I had somebody on the show that was from the CIA, and she says that she interviewed a guy that came to the CIA and interviewed him, and was positive that either that or she interviewed for the CIA, and the person interviewing her, she was positive was an alien. But in this, I happened to tell my story.
I read somewhere that they're not interested in people that are diseased. Is that true? Do they like just leave those people, like they're only looking for really healthy specimens? Is that true?
They had said that I had read that they don't like diseased people that are terminally ill or something like that, because they want to study us long term, or they want to breed us. And so if you're diseased, they don't want you. That's what I had read. I don't know if it's true. And I was asking her. She didn't give me an answer.
No, that's not quite clear, because there are some people with disabilities who are abducted.
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
And if we assume that one of their purposes is making babies, then you might be in a wheelchair. You still got ovaries.
Uh-huh.
So,
but for example, they wouldn't abduct someone who has AIDS, because that would be a disease.
I don't know. That is a really interesting question. I'm going to keep that question in mind.
Okay.
That's very.
I also wanted to ask you about these reptilians, because I had an experience of a reptilian, and I'm not quite sure what it's about, and I have no memories of ever being abducted by aliens, and I had this weird experience, and I've talked about it, and I'll say it real brief because the listeners have heard it before. But I woke up one night, and there was this tall lizard, standing at the end of my bed, and it freaked me out. But I wasn't like, people were like, "Well, were you out of the room?" And it didn't freak me out enough for it to make me bolt. But I rolled over, I turned on the radio, and this weird language kept coming out of the radio that I'd never have recognized before.
Hey, Monisha.
And when I did wake up, the interesting thing was he was right by the closet, or she, I don't know. And I think I startled it as much as it startled me. And our friend Nick, who is into the UFO, he asked me questions. Like he said, "Well, was it by a closet?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, they use those as portals." And I was like, "Oh." And we had been up on an investigation where this guy claimed that UFOs had been visiting him repeatedly. And I'm just wondering, did I bring one of them back with me, you think? Do they think they were like, "Well, what's this girl all about? Why is she here?" And just checking in on me?
Amy, what I think you should do is contact an organ. What state are you in? Where do you live?
Michigan.
Michigan. All right. Contact me and an organization called Opus, OPUS, and they had a roster of medically trained hypnotherapists. All right. Hypnosis is a very benign.
I really don't think I lost any time, but I mean, that does not to say that it didn't happen another time, because I don't know if anybody's ever had any astral travel experiences, but it was at that same house that I've had 3 times in my life that I've astrally traveled. I've never done it on purpose. It was always like just a freak thing that happened. And 2 of those times happened in the same room that I witnessed this alien.
I'm not saying you're going to like what you might find out.
Yeah, I don't know if I
I'm
want
not
to
saying
find
that,
out.
you know, the story is necessarily benign, but the process of hypnosis is benign. It's not to where you lose control of yourself. What the hypnotherapist does is put you in a state of deep relaxation. And when that happens, your mind is able to remember things that normally you don't remember. It's quite interesting. You wouldn't know necessarily that a state of deep relaxation will cause a memory to come back. But I think you owe it to yourself to find out. The duration of this memory is what? Just a few, like a couple minutes?
Yeah.
All you remember, right?
Well, I mean, I actually woke up to it, and it was standing there, and I was startled, and I got the feeling it was startled, and it just kind of disappeared. And then because when music and stuff helps me fall back to sleep, and I rolled over and turned on the radio, and there was this weird language coming out of it, and it was repeating itself. I could tell it was repeating itself because it was the same.
So
it was like
a loop.
4 or 5 words. Yeah, it was like a loop.
Yeah, right.
Have you heard of such a thing?
They use all kinds of special effects, shall we say, you know, coming on over your radio or your TV or your stereo. We have many accounts of that, to where they just
So
come
the
through.
reptilians, Nick said the reptilians are the bad bunch. Like, you don't mess with them. And I'm like, not happy that I had a reptilian.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, of all the aliens, why did I have to get the freaking reptilians?
I really understand that. And what I think
And I've also been recently getting into star seeds, which means like the aliens have planted themselves into humans, and so we're all kind of like a mix of different aliens. And so I started worrying, like, am I a reptilian? That would be horrible.
want to do is to find a real good, reputable hypnotherapist without an agenda, you know, who doesn't going to try to convince you of anything, which none of them should do if they're reputable. And, you know, commit yourself for a few $100s to have a few sessions with them to explore this event and see, because I would think that under hypnosis, you'll remember more about what happened that night.
Oh, so something could have, like, they could have been placing me back in my bed.
Yeah, that could have been the end of an experience. It could have been the beginning. In other words, I would think there's more to it than what you recall.
Can you tell us a little bit about the reptilians and why they seem to be different than the grays? And
I have never put too much emphasis on what they look like. It's quite unknown to us what the significance of what they might look like is. What's the significance of it? The reptilians, so-called reptilians, some people say they're in charge, and
yeah, because in that book, Jim goes to meet. I wrote that down, that he went to go meet the reptilians after he had submitted.
Quite so. Quite so. One thing he said in that book about the reptilians was that their hands were very clumsy. And if they are real, if they are real physical beings and not illusions, then that means that they don't do any manual work. They can't even turn dials on computers because their hands are so clumsy. So that would suggest that they really were a kind of ruling elite of the alien group.
The same with the aliens that look like the praying mantis. They always have the little grays doing all their grunt work, and but it's explained that it's not really a human hierarchy, like we put it into a hierarchy. It's more like a hive mentality, and they're just smarter. So of course they do the smart things, and the people that are more capable of doing the physical labor do the physical things. It's just a what you're good at type of thing.
But what I've always told people is, we know we're dealing with people who do genetic engineering. And we also know we're dealing with people who a great deal of what we see in contact with them is what they want us to see. And so it's quite possible that they would create a group of beings that look like they're reptilians just for effect, just the effect it would have on the psychological reaction of human beings. So they may have, the quote unquote reptilians may have a deep history with the aliens we're dealing with, or they may be just recently created, like dial a being, whatever you want.
Yeah, but you don't think
look like characters in a play,
Yeah.
Costumes. I'm not saying they're wearing costumes, but I mean, with their technology, they could actually create some sort of cadre for certain purposes that had certain appearances, just for the purposes of whatever task they might be assigned to at the time. It's very.
You don't think there's different breeds and of aliens, or are they all the same?
Again, they're doing genetic engineering, and since they are, why do we think of them like the word species is often used in connection with the aliens, and we have no basis for using it. A species, as we know it on Earth, is like a dog or a horse or a worm that is, shall we say, set in like a pattern of being what it is. There's no crossovers. It's an isolated biological theme of gods. The theme of horse, the theme of worm, and they're in like little. They're separate from other species. But the aliens, I mean, how many accounts do we have of them presenting babies and older and adults who are apparently hybrids? So they're taking human genetic material, and what are they matching it up with? We don't know, of course, what they're matching it up with, but they're creating some other people who are seemingly, I mean, I don't want to be glib about this because we really don't know for sure, seemingly are half human and half something else. Now, if they can do that, again, why should we call them species? Because they could all be, again, like the reptilians might be, creations. Biological engineered creations. We just don't know. What we do know is what they do. It's very interesting to see what they look like. I mean, we all are interested in that. But what's really important is what they do. You see, and
it's interesting that she's saying that they could be just projecting as reptilians, and they don't really look like reptilians. Yeah, Kim's door dashing right now. She said she had to go and do a delivery. If you have experienced any of these things, I feel like skepticism is dissolved at that point. All you can do is explain what you explained from what you know to be true. Yeah, and you know what? I have to tell you that even I question that experience. Like, did it really happen? I was woken up from sleep. Was it just my mind playing tricks with me? But I mean, it really did happen. to me. And these other things really did happen, but I think that there's something that is on this earth. There's a cloak that makes us really doubt things. And it could be instincts for us, like maybe these things like in the past for our ancestors were really scary things, dangerous things. And so we learned to be like really afraid of them. But let me see. Alien mothership incoming. Is that a movie? The 3-to-1 Atlas. I don't know quite what you're saying. Is this a docu-series or something?
It's like Jim Sparks. Well, that's an example of what they do, and that's what's important to me.
But do you think they're all evil, though? I mean, do you think that they're as a whole, they're out to get us, or do you think
never
there's
use
a
that
nice,
word.
gentler breed?
I never use that word evil.
Okay.
I regard them as a foreign nation, like a foreign country, and every foreign country has interests. That is to say, national interests, things that their nation wants to accomplish. Like if we go and talk to the French, they've got their things that they want to do for the French people, and the aliens have things they want to do for the aliens. And the question is what they want to do for themselves going to benefit us? And I mean, we don't. I have reason to think that it won't, but we don't know. But here's what we do know. We know that human rights are being massively violated. You see, and I don't believe that we can get to a good place. The place we're at, our rights are being massively violated. Now, I don't believe that we can get from here to a good place. It's like we can't get there from here. What we have to do is get this stopped. And then
it's not just our country, right? They're all over.
Yes.
They're seeing them all over Mexico.
All over the world. That's right. And we have to get this stopped. And if we can get it stopped and get it to where our rights are being respected by our own government and by the aliens, then maybe we can get to a good place. But right now they're treating us like, blank, 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 blank. I can't say those words over the air. They're treating us like really badly. Really badly.
Well, we have a guest in our chat room, Athena, and she was talking about the CIA and how they're downloading stuff into our brains, and she called it the Green Star program or the MK Ultra or the Blue Beam Project. Have you heard of that?
Well,
and please keep in mind this was filmed back in 2005 before the MK Ultra. There was so much disclosure on that subject.
There are MK Ultra is a term that came out in the 1970s. It was a real program, and parts of it we're learning a lot more about it now than we learned in the 70s. But in the 70s, it came out that the CIA was giving people LSD to see what would, how they would react.
And,
I
remember.
But there's a lot more books about it now, talking about the kinds of mind control experiments that the CIA or other agencies of the U.S. government have been doing. And most significantly, there are the reports from the abductees that claim they're being apprehended, kidnapped, taken, abducted by people who are people and not aliens. And this is not. It seems to me that both aliens and people are abducting us. Both. And that means that we are being confronted with very powerful forces who have absolutely no respect for our human rights. And that is very, 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 very bad. And we've got to do something about it.
And what?
And I have to say, this was back in 2005-ish, and now here we're 20 years later, and I'm telling you that I heard that whatever was protecting us is pulled out, and then in 2 years, well, not even 2 years anymore, in a year, we will have no human right protection.
Do I mean
we could
really?
take to the streets.
Possibly, if you believe any
That's
of
what we
this.
can do. And we did it. We started doing it in the 90s. You mentioned when you were kind enough to introduce me that I was an organizer for an organization called Operation Right to Know, which we ended up shutting down that organization after a while. But we did demonstrations. We got out in the street and yelled and screamed and carried signs and had press conferences and got in the newspapers saying that UFOs are real, they're extraterrestrial, and the U.S. government knows it. And today we could add another slogan in there, which would be "Stop the abductions." And you see, the way that this
yeah, I've been trying to do vertical streams and see how they go and see how people like them. So it's supposed to come up on your phone better in vertical, which is strange that now it's not letting you do that kind of stuff. I am going to end this in about 40 minutes and come back and do Florida Woman Friday after this paranormal live. I got up and I did my makeup, so we're going to get some lives in.
The advent, the arrival of the aliens has been treated by our society is really remarkable. Most Americans have more than an inkling that UFOs are real and that they're extraterrestrial. This idea is not something that you just stop anybody on the street and scratch the surface, and it'll come out that they have a notion that UFOs are real and they're extraterrestrial. However, that's where it stops.
Mm-hmm.
We seem to have some sort of a unspoken agreement with our government that we're not going to really bring it up. Okay, we're not going to really press the issue. We're going to keep quiet about it, no matter what.
Well, I think because you're ridiculed, you bring it up. Like people think you're crazy.
Ridicule is a very important key to how we're being kept silent about this.
Luckily, it's not quite as bad now when we talk about this kind of stuff. I still feel the side eye from some people, but it's really not as bad as it used to be. It used to be way worse. Used to get a lot of side eye. So, sticking with the comedian theme, I thought it would be fun to, oh my goodness, Junie, you have just been a part of my lives lately. You don't even want to take showers. We're not like, we used to have this kind of agreement where you used to like cooperate, but you haven't been cooperating the last week. Yeah. Do you want to take a shower? Can I turn the shower on and then finish this? Do you want to come say hi? Come here. Come here. He's just not doing anything except being naughty. And having a bird is like having a child. So the more intense you respond to them, the more they, like children just get more intense with you. So you have to try to mitigate stuff so that you don't, and not everything's have to be a battle. Junie, you want to take a shower? Yeah? Does that sound good? You want mommy to turn water on? Yes? Okay, you gotta use your words. Okay, guys, I'm gonna start this, I'm gonna start this up. This is the scariest ghost stories told by comedians, because at the very beginning we were talking about Theo Von interviewing what, baby? Yeah. So we're gonna just take a peek at the scariest comedian stories.
Haunted comedy clubs, like the Comedy Store's haunted, right?
Well,
But Mitzi
no,
would.
Oh, I will say this too. I have like a little connection to the comedy club in that Mitzi Polly Shore's parents used to own. I don't know if it's still open anymore, but Sandy Shore used to have a paranormal show, and I was on her paranormal show like 2 or 3 times, and she told me about the ghosts that was in the that haunted the Comedy Store. So I kind of know a little bit about that.
know that.
To sleep paralysis demons.
The ghosts have been acting up lately.
These are the spookiest ghost stories told by comedians. Starting off with the story of Gus the Ghost.
Well, so in the 50s, the Comedy Store used to be a club called Ciro's. And it used to be the hottest club in Hollywood, but it was run by the mob. And during the days, people would get killed in where the main room is. You've been to the Comedy Store, right? So that used to be the showroom. And there's these, if you look up on the ceiling, there's these little openings up above where people would snipe, you know what I mean, people.
Wow.
So I guess a guy named Gus died there. One time when Carl LeBeau and Sam Kinison.
Yes, this is one of the stories that Sandy Shore told me, and she said the most haunted place was the upstairs room. I forget what she called it, but it was back when they used to, not let women on the main stage. They had their own stage upstairs, and that is the more haunted area of the club.
Moved to LA from Houston. They snuck in the store to sleep because they were poor, right? And they slept on the main room stage. And Carl LeBeau, he passed a couple of months ago. God bless him.
I know. All right.
And LeBeau tells a story where he wakes up and he sees Sam Kinison being levitated by his foot, and he's like 3 feet off the fucking.
But Kinison's asleep still.
Yeah, right. But here's something that I witnessed. There's a comic by the name of Pete. That's his real name. I don't want to say his last name. And he was in the belly room. He performed. Have you been in the
belly room? I think that's what it's called. Look at it. That's so funny. You see his big belly right there. Belly room.
green room in the belly room?
Yes.
Okay. So from the showroom to the green room, there's a little hallway you walk through.
Yep.
Right? This dude's like my height, right? If you look at the ceiling, it's pretty high. It's probably this high, the way the ceiling is. Pete has a good set in the belly room, walks down the hallway, and then his head hits the ceiling. He gets thrown up in the ceiling. He breaks his fucking spine.
What?
Yeah. He's now has to go through surgery.
Oh my
for
God.
years. In fact, he sued the store and he got some sort of compensation. That's what
Actually, this is not a story that Sandy told me. She just told me about chairs and stuff being moved. I don't think she told me this story.
never seen this guy before after this event.
Wow.
But apparently, you know what I mean? I was there downstairs, but apparently people that witnessed it, right, saw him just being thrown up there like Gus. It's Gus. In fact, me and Johnny Sanchez, who's a comedian, back in 2002, maybe 2001, we were in the parking lot at the store and we saw Gus for the first time. We both saw him. We were in the parking lot. We had dropped one of my cars off to go do a gig in Bakersfield. And when we drove back, it's 4 a.m. I'm getting my car. We're saying goodbye, whatever, right? And we both look at the window up above on the parking lot, and we see a white face, a top hat, 2 hands on the window looking down on us like this, right? And Johnny and I go, ah, like that, right? And we look at each other, we look up, and he's gone.
Whoa. Shit.
That's the first time I saw Gus.
Oh my God.
So I don't, if you notice, I don't stay there past midnight.
It's crazy, man. Like even the ghosts are past at the Comedy Store. I'm not, I'm not past.
That was the first time. When was it?
I think one of what they're trying to do here with the vertical layout is kind of go along the lines of TikTok, because I noticed they are offering like these gift things that you can. It's not like super chat or super stickers, but it's more like well, I think you can buy like, well, they do have super Oh yeah, they do have. Well, maybe I don't know. They do have super chat, but then they have all these little stickers that you can purchase, and I don't know. I'm not really thrilled about that option because it's one of the big reasons I don't do TikTok is I don't like having to beg for money. I hate it and I don't do it. It's just uncomfortable for me. If you want to give to me, then give to me. And if you don't. And I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're more important to me. But I am very appreciative of you giving extra you know what I mean? Like it just makes me feel really uncomfortable. That's why I've gone sponsorship route. I'm not going to do a sponsorship today, but we have been doing wild deodorant sponsorships. It just makes me feel more comfortable because that way, like if you decide to buy something, I'll get a little bit, but you'll also get something too. It just makes, I don't know. Since having what happened to me and being homeless for a while and having no money at all, like I come from a pretty middle class background, and I don't think people realize when you have no money, like in middle class, when you have no money, it means like you can't go on a vacation, but you can still like buy your necessities. But when you're poor and broke and homeless and you have no money, it means you might not even eat that day. No money. So I don't think until like for some people they've just never been in that position, and so and I have, and now my mind is real, and I'm an ex-social worker anyway, so my mind is really with the people that are struggling out there, and I don't want to put any more struggles on them. So, but I still need to make money because it's helping. This is what's putting food, what's helping me eat, right? Like, so anyway, that's I'm just trying out the vertical method. I don't know. That sounds maybe wrong, the vertical method, but I'm just trying out new things for the channel to see. But I would like feedback on if nobody's said other. I've asked, like I've done like this is the third or fourth vertical that I've done. And you guys are the first that have been really kind of talking about it in chat, the differences. So just let me know if you like it, if you don't like it. I'm going to be doing both when I come back for Florida Woman Friday. We're going to be doing just the regular format. I will say I have noticed with this vertical format, hold on a second, I got a cough. YouTube seems to be throwing out my lives to more people. I'm getting more people coming in and viewing, but after the live is over, it's not throwing it out to the algorithm. It doesn't, so I got to get all my views in during the live. So you've got to stay on longer to get the more views, because after the live's over, it's not throwing it out into the algorithm. And I'm not really sure how I like that, because it's nice getting the added people coming through, but it like your RPM will go down, and that's how much you make off of per clicks on a YouTube's it's just like kind of a little complicated, but it's not just the amount of views that you get, it's the length of time you can get people to stay at your video and view it. So it has to do with the clicks and the RPMs. So I haven't figured out if it equals out to something I want to keep doing or not. And I really want to know how you guys feel about it, if you like it or not. Because if you don't really like it, this might be just something I do at night when I pop on. I've been having some sleepless nights lately and just hanging out with you guys. But let me see what you guys are saying. I don't think I've ever been abducted or come into contact with an alien, but I 100% believe that they're out there. Yeah, I don't think I was abducted. I'm pretty sure I wasn't abducted, but I think what happened was that these aliens were connected to this man, because I don't really go in what we just watched. I didn't go really into the story of the man, and he had these, like, I showed up and he was stinking drunk, and he proceeded to get drunker through the night. And he said he had all this paranormal activity and all this alien activity, and he lived on a power grid. Like, I remember standing outside and looking up, and there was just power lines everywhere. And so I just think maybe it was connected to him. They were just like, why? And they got their portal in my closet. So okay, let's go in and do this. Hey guys, be sure and check to see if you are subscribed. I looked and only about 57% of you are subscribed to my channel. So be sure to check and see if you're subscribed to Parawoman Radio, the Power Network. Just, click that subscribe button and come on over and subscribe. I promise the water is warm, and if it ever gets too cold or hot for you, you can just click that unsubscribe and be on your way, and there will be no hard feelings. Because I once had somebody complain. They're like, I know you don't care if I leave or not because blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, no, I don't want anybody here that doesn't want to be here. I'm always disappointed if somebody leaves, but I never stop anyone from leaving. Like, I think we should all, there's so much out there on the internet that we could all be happy out there. So just subscribe, why don't you? Please.
The second time.
I was playing the piano at 4 a.m. So it's completely dark. And I'm playing my own improvised little, Korean lullaby. Dang ding, dang ding, dang ding dong. And I look to my right and I see a yellow suit with a top hat, but from far away. You know where the entrance is? I see it coming toward me. I run out that back door, to the hallway.
Yeah.
And I come back in, it's gone. And that I believe that to be my second encounter with Gus.
So if you hadn't had one ghost experience, I don't think you're human.
I've never had one. I've never had a ghost.
You've never had one. You've had one.
I mean, seen a ghost?
Yeah, a little. No, not see a ghost. I mean, a ghost. How about I don't even know the right wording, but like an experience with an apparition, a ghost, a supernatural, the unknown. Like, you can't explain it.
Like,
right?
What's one that you've had?
My buddy Tyler growing up, I used to sleep over at his house all the time because we would get
smoking. What was that? No, what do you Andrew? It's time to be honest. In 2021.
No, we just play mini flutes.
Oh, mini flutes. Okay.
So we play mini flutes all night, and no, but his house, the people that his mother bought the house from, they died in the home. This old couple.
And natural causes in the home.
Natural causes.
Wasn't a murder suicide.
Well, they killed each other
at 98 years old. Imagine that. 98 years old.
Murder suicide.
You're pulling out a murder suicide.
Bang bang. She's like, you'll never make it to 100. You won't either. Bang bang.
Oh.
No. So what happened was I used to sleep in the basement all the time, and upstairs was the kitchen had 2 galley doors. Galley doors that hide inside of the walls. Galley doors, you couldn't close them quietly if you tried. Everyone that has one in their home knows, or you ever grew up with one, they're like, they're so loud.
Right.
So I'm sleeping downstairs and I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning, and the house always did have this like very ominous vibe. It was like tucked into the woods. It just always felt just very dark and shady, and you can't really see anybody around you. And so I'm tossing and turning. I can't go to sleep, and I hear the galley door to the kitchen. So I think, oh, Ty's mom must be awake like me. Like, maybe she's going to get a late night snack. And I was like, I'll get some food because I'm up and I'm hungry and I couldn't sleep. So I walk upstairs and the doors are all closed. And I was like, it was seconds. That's impossible.
Right.
Like, it literally couldn't have happened. There's just no way. So I go in there and I'm like, whatever. I get in the kitchen. I grab like a candy bar. I go back downstairs. I'm eating. I hear it again. And it's distinct. You know it when you know what it is. It's not like it could have been something. I know what that sound is. I have one in my house now. I hear it again, and I immediately put the candy bar down, and I'm like, Mom, because I would call his mom. I was like, Mom, nothing, Mom. I walk upstairs again, and the doors are all still closed. And I swear to God on my life, I was freezing cold.
Right.
I felt ice cold, and I'm sure that's just anxiety. It's all in my mind.
But freezing cold.
Oh, dude, I was freezing. It was freezing cold, and I was like,
give you a blanket.
I wanted someone to wrap me up, but I swear to God, it felt just so ominous that it was like someone was toying with me. It couldn't have been his mother, because her room, to get back to her room, she could have never made it there all the way down the back hallway,
right,
without me seeing her, because I walked right upstairs afterwards. So I was freezing cold, and then I went downstairs, and the rest of the night I just stared at the stairwell, and all I was waiting for was to see something or feel something, but I just couldn't sleep. My brain was just staring at this ominous. It just felt so like something was happening, but I just couldn't go back up there then.
So do you believe that it was
like I didn't see anything, but the feeling was disgusting. I couldn't even tell you what it was.
What's your spooky tale? Spooky tale? Dude, so last night I wake up, it's 3:00 in the morning.
No. That's the scariest hour.
Pretty scary, dude.
Isn't that the witching hour?
Yeah, dude. Witching hour. I'm up.
I don't know if my mic was off, but I do believe in the witching hour, and I do believe that certain times the veil is thinner than others. And when I interviewed Lorraine Warren, she had said that it's actually not this time of year. It's actually Easter time, because of the resurrection of Christ, and because Jesus rose from the dead, the resurrection of Christ. So it's just a time where it's easier for the veil. The veil is thinner, and it's easier for the spirits to cross over.
Maya wakes up. Pretty standard stuff. So I go down. You do the thing where like sometimes they put themselves back to sleep, which is nice because they do sometimes. You're like, yes, and then some.
You hear them cry, and then they pass
go
back
like,
out.
And they pass back out.
Yeah.
So it's like so I'm laying there. I'm playing the monitor, sitting there like laying, chilling.
Yeah.
And then it's like you get like 2 minutes of quiet. You're like right on, and all of a sudden it's you're like fuck. So I go downstairs. It's spooky as hell. I go down, lay with her for a little bit, kind of fall asleep a little bit. She passes out. I go, and I'm building this all up because when I disrupt my sleep during the witching hour and go back to bed around like 4:30, it's sleep paralysis time. Almost every time.
Oh man,
dude. So
that seems like a horrifying thing to happen. I am so thankful that I don't get sleep paralysis. I mean, I've had where I've kind of had a hard time waking up, or I wake up overly startled, and I actually do sleepwalk from time to time. But thankfully, I have not had sleep paralysis. Ugh.
But I like it. I'm a sicko, dude.
Yeah, but what type of sleep paralysis are we talking? Visions?
No, here's what happens to me. So I don't pull myself out of it. I know it's coming because when I'm laying there, it goes. I get these like, and like I can't explain it, but it doesn't. It's not like a brain shock or brain zap, but it's like it's just like sensation that like goes. It'll happen, and then like a minute later, it'll happen again. It starts going faster and faster, and eventually I enter the sleep paralysis tunnel where it's like, I'm fucked up. I used to get scared and I'd pop myself up out of that. Lately, I've been going into it.
Yes.
Let me tell you, that was a spooky experience, dude.
What happened?
So whenever I go into
There's
sleep,
spooky skeletons sending shivers down your spine.
Yes, dude, this is what happens. Whenever when you first go into the sleep paralysis, it's nothing but like the spookiest shit possible. I went into it and it was just like, and you see like the scary shit. And I was like, I can't breathe. And I'm just laying there just like, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, thank God I woke up. I'm still dreaming.
What type of stuff did you see?
Just like I always see like scary figures.
Now this is in your room, correct?
No, it's what I understand. Sleep paralysis is it's like you're awake, but you can't move your body. So your body's frozen, but you're consciously awake and aware of what's happening, or you think you are.
This is eyes closed. I'm completely. It's like my eyes are closed. I can't open my eyes. I can't move. Like scary face. Like those masks people put on. There's like a big scary.
Yeah.
It's like shit like that. Scary faces and like it's like weird figures. This is all with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
And I have opened my eyes before and seen it in my room for a second. More so like the shadow figures.
Shadow figures are the
scary guys.
Spookiest.
I see them in 3. I always have 3
That's a very common thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Did you know that was common?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah.
You see
the
him in
one
3?
guy in the documentary sees 3.
Really?
Usually one guy's wearing like a top hat.
Yes, dude. And it's fucking big square shoulders,
scary
top
is that?
hat, dude. So, dude, so I'm
Isn't that
sitting there.
spooky that I knew
I
that?
can see the room when my eyes are closed. It's a weird thing that happens. I can't see it like it's like you're in a dark room, but my eyes are closed and I just see the shadows of things. And I've often done things where like I put like it because it feels like you're seeing from here, not here. When it happens, it feels like you're like this. They say this is where your third eye is, but it looks like you're seeing from there and you see shadows, and sometimes it's brighter and sometimes it's not. And I often wonder, like, because I'm always trying to debunk things, is it because like somewhere in my mind I've closed my eyes and I have seen where everything is in the room, so I know where it is? So is my mind creating these shadows in my mind's eye? What do you guys think? Has anyone ever had that weird experience? I noticed it started happening. I was that weird kid that when I was 16, I started meditating in a group. So I'm in the 80s meditating with all these like 30, 40, 50-year-olds. And it's when I started experiencing that sensation where it's like I can see in a dark room, but I can't see clearly. It's like if you need glasses and you're not wearing glasses, so it's kind of like shadowy. I don't know if I'm explaining it right either. Yeah, Junie finally went in to take a shower, so he's given me a quick little break. You don't like the vertical? Maybe the veil gets thinner in the night. Yeah, something happens at the midnight hour, or it's the witching hour and the midnight hour, but it's more the witching hour at the 3 p.m. hour that, and I think I remember Lorraine Warren saying something about the witching hour or the midnight hour, but I don't want to say it exactly. I've only ever played a portion of her interview. I should do the whole interview one day. A whole day of Amy. Yeah, you get ready. My birthday celebration's coming. I'm going to be doing a lot of lives for the last part of October, the first part of November. So I'm going to try to do a live a day, actually, a live or a video premiere. And also, if you want a bird for a day, Junie and I have decided that he will come to your house and terrorize anybody who wants him for the day. So if you want a little green cheek cutie that is very talkative and likes tweets and is really spicy right now, like I'm lending him out during his extra spicy time. He did bite me yesterday. He bit me twice and he tried to bite me today. And it's hormonal. It's hormonal season. Birds go through like twice a year, they go through these hormones and they can't help themselves. And you got to learn to work around it. Because like I said, if you get forceful, like you can't like dogs, you can't, like dogs, you can tell them they're being naughty and stuff, like really, like shame them into stopping what they're doing. But birds, if they think that you don't like them doing it, they want to do it more. They're like a big, F yous. You don't like this? Let me give you a little added dose of it. So yeah, I'm not only a Scorpio, but I've got 4 planets in Scorpio. I once had a astrologer tell me that if I don't drown in my Scorpio waters in my childhood, that when I get older, I'm going to be extremely powerful. And what's funny is when I turned 30, because to me, when I was told this when I was like 16, so I thought when I would like turn 30, that the power. Let the power begin. So when I turned 30 and I didn't become super powerful, I questioned it. But maybe now I'll become powerful as I am older. Yeah, actually, I've been thinking a lot about power and strength and yeah. And I'm pushing through some real fears right now. And so I want to level up to the next level. I can't live the way I've been living anymore, where, just I isolated myself for a long time because of what happened. And so now I've got to allow myself to open back up to people. And yeah, some people are going to hurt me, but I'm a lot stronger than I used to be. So I've found that the hurt isn't as painful as it once was. So, and being alone is proving to be even more painful than not. So I've got to learn to let somebody in. But I'm looking for a unicorn at this point, and I am willing to be alone the rest of my life. But in the same respect that I'm looking for a unicorn, I feel like I will be that person's unicorn. And I don't want a typical relationship anymore. I don't want that. I mean, I don't think I ever want to get married again. I wouldn't even mind, like, in this next relationship, like living side by side in a house, or like living on a compound where there's two tiny houses, right? And in the middle is like a common deck and whatever, an outdoor area. And so, because I'm somebody who, I need my free space. I need time alone. I'm a Scorpio. I need time alone. I need to brood over my thoughts. I need to cry, but I can't cry in front of people because that's really embarrassing for me. And, I need to feel my feelings, and I need to be able to poo in peace, right? I like my independence. So I'm looking for somebody who's very independent and who isn't jealous. I can't do the jealous thing. I'm not a jealous person, which I should have been. Like my last relationship, they cheated with one of my friends. So I should be a jealous person, but I don't have time for that. I don't have time to worry about other people. Maybe it's because I'm too invested in myself, but I don't know. But I definitely have decided that I'm going to start extending myself more. And that's terrifying to me. Letting people really get to know me is really scary because I'm an intensely private person. Yeah, I think we do gain our power with age because I feel a way that I've never felt before. I feel a power that I've never felt before. And, that's probably what they were talking about. Like, women do get to a certain age where, like, some stuff just doesn't matter anymore. Like, I'm not so intensely fearful of the way I look, and I don't obsess on my weight the way I used to, and I don't worry about what you think about me anymore. I'm making choices where in the past I would like give everything I had to you and I would be the one lacking. But now I'm realizing that if I don't choose me first, absolutely nobody's going to choose me first. So I need to choose me first. And that's a hard thing, especially for Gen Xers. We were taught that if we chose us first, we were selfish. And don't be selfish. There's starving kids in China. No. But I think a lot of people are waking up to what the world is now, and we are choosing us first. And I'm here for it. I think everybody should choose themselves first. And I do mean that, like, even over your family. If you don't choose yourself first, then you won't have anything left to give to your family. Choosing yourself first is a choice, the best choice for your family. So I felt my entire life that I was supposed to be born on Halloween. Oh, I always felt that way, Kim, too. I always wished that for some reason I was born on Halloween. But then when I realized that Halloween is like October, and October Scorpios are different than November Scorpios. Shannon's an October Scorpio. And not to say that, well, I just wouldn't want to be an October Scorpio. I like being a November Scorpio, although I would give away some of my intensity if I could. I mean, I don't need all the intensity that I have. I would give some of it away. But October Scorpios aren't as intense as November Scorpios, I've noticed. And they're also the typical where you get the more of the, and not to say November Scorpios aren't sexy, because we are super sexy. It's just like something weirdly sexy about us, and I don't know what it is, but it is. But October Scorpios, whoa, they sizzle. So, and I don't want all that sizzle. Like I got enough sizzle. So and I'm just a Scorpio. This is just my opinion. I am sure I like to talk astrology, and we're going into Scorpio season. So, and we're going into our birthday celebration it starts on, oh, wait, it's the 17th. Oh my gosh, it starts tomorrow. It's the 18th. I thought I had one more day. Oh, it's tomorrow. Our birthday celebration kicks off on the 18th, and it's going to go through November 6th. That's my birthday. So, all right, guys, you know what? I've been babbling on for a long time here. I am old, but you know what? You're never too old to believe in make-believe play. And I feel like when you stop believing in magic and things, for me, then you get really old. Yeah. I'm a Gen Xer old. Yeah. I bet she probably, is she an October Scorpio, or is she a November Scorpio? Which one? And if I was staring at his crotch, I'd be like this. And I am a crotch looker. I was just thinking about this the other day. When people have camel toe, it's just a horrible thing for me, because I can't avert my eyes from it. I'm like, why must you do this to me? Or moose knuckle, it's like, why do I have to see these things? And so when it happens, it's like this. I like avert my eyes, and I try to, then I start doing this intense Scorpio glare, and I try to blaze into their eyes so that I'm not looking down at the crotch. And for some reason, they always pick up this intense glaze into their eyes, and they must be reading what I'm thinking, because then they become this happens every time, they become super sensitive, and I notice they start like putting their hands in front of their crotch and stuff. It's horrible. I hate it. So the moral of this story is don't have camel toe or moose knuckle, and I won't be looking at your crotch. How about that? October 16th, and then November 7th. Yes, I'm November 6th. So yes, that is still Scorpio. Scorpio, I don't know if I think the 18th might be not Scorpio. Let me see. Okay, so the start of Scorpio is the 22nd and it goes through November 21st. So so your other daughter is actually a Libra. So you have a Libra and a Scorpio. And Scorpio, November 7th is knee deep into Scorpio. But then there's other things where there's planets that can be in Scorpio. Like I've got 4 planets in Scorpio. And then there's also your rising sign, which I think mine's Libra. My rising is Libra. And so then you take on actually both characteristics. So, yeah. When you get out of the car for an order, I pause the video. So I'm here for the duration. And then sometimes I have figured out if I thumbs up the live and it can come back and hype it. I've not gone into anybody's live yet that is, wait, no, Lindsay has been doing verticals, but I haven't been going in on my phone. So I haven't noticed any differences yet on the desktop, but I think they're doing it like this because lives, a lot of people view it on their phones. In my analytics, it will tell me the percentage of who's viewing on what devices you guys are viewing me on. So let me pop in and see. So 51.5% of you are watching me on the mobile phone. So I think it's supposed to be where lives are better. I know that like the backgrounds are different. I've had to adjust my backgrounds. 25.3% are watching on a TV. I think that's where it's going to suffer the most on TVs. And then on the computer, 12.3%. And then on the tablet, 10.7% of you are viewing me. So. And then we've got 65.4% of you from the United States, 5.2% from United Kingdom, 3.1 are from Canada, 1.6 from Australia. We've got 1.3 from Germany. We've got some people from India, the Philippines, South Africa, Netherlands, Indonesia, Africa, Mexico, Brazil, Italy, Norway, and we had some from Japan, but no more. They've got this new dubbing feature out that if you ever see a video and the voice just seems really off, they probably got dubbing on, and they didn't mean for that to happen. No, never too old to play make-believe. And the older I get, the more, like, when I was young, I didn't want to get old, but now that I'm old, it's like it's more comfortable. You're more comfortable in your skin. So it's like, okay, it's comfortable. It would be nice to actually feel the way you feel now when you're old, when you're young, like have that comfort and confidence. But also, I'm really tired of people's BS. Like, I always wondered why older people were more cranky, and it's because you've just dealt with a lot of BS. You're just like really over stuff. So. Okay, guys, I am going to, well, I want to watch the rest of this. I want to watch some more of this. Because I'm not really sure. I have to put together a Florida Woman Friday, but maybe we'll just do something really easy and just watch some videos of Donna Adelson, because she just went over to Lowell. Just watch some of that and then watch some Sarah Boone stuff. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. But let's watch this a little bit more. But let's finish looking at his crotch, shall we?
The guy in your dream wore a fucking hat.
That is fucking.
Isn't that fucking scary?
That was the first time I like woke up and was in my room but hallucinating with sleep paralysis. That was the Hat Man. That was with his two fucking minions, dude.
His two minions right on either side of him.
Yeah, man. It's so scary.
What the fuck is that?
Dude, I don't know.
What the fuck?
I don't know. It's got to be fucking.
But see, that's the thing is, so like if you want to talk about like it's some weird thing that's deep in every human that it's like we're all scared of snakes. This is what we think about. Why the fuck would it be wearing a hat? Hats are relatively new when it comes to human evolution in our brain.
Yeah, probably epigenetics.
But like top hats are pretty new.
Yeah, dude.
That's not something our ancestors would have also thought of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's fucked up.
What the fuck is this thing, dude?
You're talking about.
I'm very curious about this shadow man that wears a top hat and or it will often wear a cowboy hat. What is that? What is that?
You're talking about the collective unconscious.
Is it like a different timeline merging? Our worlds colliding? Red pill, blue pill? I mean, what's going on?
These are the archetypes that are built into the base of the human psyche. So for some reason, dudes in top hats with two boys.
Three bros coming right at you.
Three bros, one
of them's
top
clearly
hat.
the boss.
Two of that.
Okay, now what he is actually describing, which is a very horrifying, and I never want to run into them. They're called the mirrored men, and Monsters Among Us is the one that coined the mirrored men. Let me share. So here is the mirrored men with Monsters Among Us. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the mirrored men, but they are one of the things that scare me the most because you always lose time with these mofos, with these meows. And so here's an article. Flora welcomes back Derek Hayes from the Monsters Among Us podcast to discuss the high strangeness of mirrored men. And we did a live on this on Highly Strange Days, Shannon and I of course scared the pants off of her with this, but a truly bizarre and recent phenomenon. Mirrored men are strange men in old locations who witnesses say move in synchronization and possibly cause missing time. I mean, every time I've heard of a mirrored man, they've lost time. Derek has fielded several calls of encounters with them, but is no closer to an explanation that anyone else. He and David talk about their origin descriptions and even shares a couple of the calls he received. What are these odd entities? Can anyone explain their appearances? David and Derek share ideas and get pretty out there in this one. Also, the winner of week. Is there a link? Let me see. No. No, this isn't one of the mirrored men. Hold on a second. We'll go into a mirrored man short, and let me add it back to the stage. When I tell you, like, we've talked about this reptilian thing, these mirrored men scare me more than the reptilians do.
Police are trying to get to the bottom of this. Several men in black out on the roads at night, sometimes stepping right out in front of cars.
Reports of 1 and 2, but for the most part, it's 3.
3 similar-looking men are observed to move in a synchronized fashion.
It's usually 2 or 3 men together. Usually they're dressed in similar clothes, usually black.
According to witnesses, men dressed in black trench coats and capes have been standing beside roadways and parks at night.
But each one of them had the same jerky movement when they were walking.
Somehow I lost like 5.5, 6 hours.
I see 3 men all walking in step.
As if the witness was looking at a mirror image.
And they were walking down the street side by side, like in unison.
The 3 dark figures.
I saw these 3 things.
I'm pretty sure it was 3 or 4 men standing in unison.
Within 5 seconds of looking at them, they saw me.
This incident seems very reminiscent of the mirrored men phenomenon.
Mirrored men.
Derek Hayes over at Monsters Among Us podcast has spent years detailing cases involving strange shadowy figures that move in unison.
Have you ever heard of a phenomena called mirrored men?
Mirrored men?
It's somehow, somewhere lost about 3 or 4 hours.
The mirrored men is a term coined by Hayes to describe a relatively new phenomenon.
Been paying more attention to the mirrored men the more and more I hear. The mirrored men.
The mirrored men.
His nickname them the Mirror Men.
I know mirrored men.
Mirrored men. That mirrored men story I've been hearing so much about.
I had never had an encounter with mirrored men until about 8 months ago.
And they call them mirrored men because their movements mirror one another.
I never knew mirrored men existed.
You guys were talking about.
Have any of you experienced a mirrored men encounter? I looked this up while that was playing, and here is, we can pop in and look at some of the live. Now, this was 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not really sure how good this live will be, but this was my first live miss. This was day 23 of live miss, where, you know, I do a live a day, and I have little rules that I follow. Like, I have to go live at least 15 minutes a day. And I actually, this is how I became a live streamer, how I just kind of got used to being in front talking, and how I learned to work the board is that I challenged myself with the live miss in 2023, and I did a live a day. And it was 15 minutes, and I put that out there because when you're first starting live streaming, when you go live, it's really hard to think of things to say, and even doing 5 minutes can feel like an eternity. So I thought 15 minutes would be a good time, but I got so comfortable with it. You can see here, I went 53 minutes, and, you know, now I'm up to 2, like right now, I think we're at 2 hours on this live. 2 hours is usually my limit, but we're going to go a little bit further today and take a peek at this, because I just feel like live streaming with you guys today. I saw Jay for Justice did a 6-hour live stream yesterday. Have you guys seen the drama? Just a little side note. Have you guys seen the drama that's been going on with hidden true crime lately? She did a 9-hour live yesterday in the morning. She did a 9-hour live about a stalking situation, which, I mean, stalking really scares me. Like, as a YouTuber, that's one of the scariest aspects of the job, which is pretty crazy that that's an aspect of the job that could happen. And so I'm always really aware of these things. And Hidden True Crime did a 9-hour live detailing a situation that she considers to be a stalking situation. And then Jay for Justice on her second channel went over that live, that 9-hour live, for 6 hours. I think she's doing more today. And I'm not really sure how I feel about this situation, if it's really stalking or if it's just mean girl stuff. Have you guys been following the Hidden True Crime drama? I need to look into it more before I make a decision on if I believe it or not. And also, 9 hours is a long time to watch something. Yeah. No, I don't mean level up like how Chad Daybell. I mean more like, I feel like in our lives we go through periods of time where like a lot of stress and drama happens, right? And then there's other periods of time where it's a more of a loving, carefree, happier time, right? And for me, I just want to level up. I want to come out of this base living that I've been doing because of what I've the abuse I experienced and the medical issues I had. I'm just ready to level up to a happier period. And I almost feel like you do walk on a higher level, a higher plane. And so for me, that's what leveling up means. You're looking for a unicorn too? Well, let me tell you my little unicorn story. So I am a reoccurring dreamer. I have reoccurring dreams, and my whole life I have these reoccurring dreams, and like one of like, and if I'm not having a reoccurring dream, I have reoccurring dream locales. I go to the same locations in my dreams over and over. And some of them, they're locations that I've been to, and some of them I've never been to in my life, but in my dream, I go to them over and over and over again. So one of my reoccurring dreams that I had when I was younger was I was sitting like on a planet. It's like, but I was sitting out in space and we were looking, I don't know if we were in a spaceship or if like we were just sitting out and we were looking down at Earth. And I could tell that whoever I have in this dream, it's my, like, if you believe, like, I don't think everybody has a soul, another twin. I don't want to call it twin flame because I hate that word. I think that, that's become culty and weird, but I think that there is a yin and a yang type of thing where some people some people have another half, and whoever it was, this was my other half sitting with me. And I said to the other half, I said, I miss Earth and I'm going to go back. And the person's whatever I don't know what we were sitting next to me said, no, not me. I'm not going. And we sat there for a little bit longer. And every time I say, I'm going back, and I jump forward and I go back. So I don't know. I don't know if my unicorn's here either. I have a feeling maybe he jumped in later. Like, I think like whoever it is going to be a little bit younger than me, but I don't know. And then I have this other reoccurring dream of the person, and I can never see their face, but it's like I'm walking on like a type of Broadway in New York, and you know, like how, you know, you see the crowd going this way and then there's a crowd going this way, and the person is coming towards me and they have their head down like this, and there's a lot of hair, and they're wearing jean on jean. They've got like jean, they always had jeans on with a jean jacket, and I never see their face, but we pass each other and I know that that's them, and they know it's me too. And then I always woke up. So, but like I said, I am the woo-woo friend. I don't try to hide my woo-woo-ness. I fly my woo-woo flag. I'm the Phoebe of the friend group. I talk about spiritual things while being like, sometimes people don't understand what I'm saying. So I know that about me too. So none of this might make any sense to you at all, but maybe it rings true with some other people. And maybe I'll find my family this way. Because I do believe that we come back together. You come back with the same group of people over and over again. But I'm at this point in my life where I am completely okay if my unicorn's not here. Like, I'm okay with never settling again and just being okay with like living life the way it is, because I'd rather be completely alone than ever be with the wrong person again. So but I do think we come here for relationship purposes is one of the biggest, like love and family and friendships and animals, the animals that are on earth. It's one of the biggest reasons why we come here. Those are the biggest reasons. And earth itself is something pretty special. And then I feel like I really got the jackpot because I chose to come to the United States. And as bad as the United States is, it's offered me freedoms that other women don't have. So I do feel like I got the lotto with that one. Because I look at other countries and, you know, like even the women that still have to cover up and they're married off, or the genitalia mutilations that happen. And, you know, I just feel, or, you know, even like the war that's happening in Israel. I mean, like, just so lucky that I'm not, like, I wasn't born there. And but is it luck? Like, did I choose to be, you know, like, did they choose to go through that experience? I don't know. I don't know. But I just know that I've always been a spiritual kid. Like, since I was the one that wanted to go to church. I was the one that was in Sunday school. I was the one, like, the first time I ever got left, my mom, I wanted to go to Sunday school. I was 4 years old and I wanted to go to Sunday school. I remember this experience very vividly. I'm a Gen Xer, so this kind of stuff happened to us all the time. So don't like clutch your pearls or anything. Gen Xer, like this trauma went down. So anyway, I wanted to go to church and nobody else in the family wanted to go. And so my mom drove me to the Sunday school and just, you know, didn't walk me in, just opened the car door, and I got out and I went in, and they weren't having church, and she drove off, and they weren't having church or Sunday school that day. And so the doors were locked. But luckily there was not luckily, but there was a funeral happening. That's probably why it was closed. But now that I'm thinking about it, but there was a funeral happening, and people were coming out of the funeral and they were letting off balloons. So I remember, maybe that's why, like another reason why I really remember the experience, because I remember standing out in the parking lot, and like, I guess they figured, well, the family will come back because Sunday school is only like an hour, right? So somebody did end up standing out in the parking lot with me, and they were letting off the balloons. But I was a 4-year-old standing out in a parking lot alone, letting off balloons at a funeral. And that was the first time I got left. There's other times. There's a funny story in my family where they tell where my brother's 3. So my brother is like a year and a half older than me, or 2 years. I don't remember. So I would have been a baby, but we did a lot of camping, and so they were driving up north to go camping, or they were coming back from camping, one of the two. And this is a combo story. And so he was thirsty, and the only thing they had in the car was some well, this is YouTube, so I've got to figure out some in The Simpsons, he drank Duff. And so that's the only thing they had. So they cracked that open, and they were going to let him have a sip of it. And my mom says the next thing they know, they hear him go, ah, and he had drank the whole thing. And they pull into a gas station, and it was a what were those things called that it was a station wagon, and you know how the windows came open in the back, and while they were pumping gas, he crawled into the back and was kind of sitting, the window was open, and he was sitting there while they were pumping gas, and they went and they got into the car, and they didn't realize that he was sitting out the window in the back of the station wagon, and they drove away, and he fell out, and they didn't realize he had fallen out until they were halfway down the road. So a lot of stories like that in my childhood that, I don't know, they're funny, but they're terrifying at the same time. And I know like a lot of Gen Xers have those horrifying stories. And so when I laugh at trauma, I mean, it was what we did. You know, if you didn't laugh, you'd cry about it. Who wants to be crying all the time? Made us who we are, I guess. But okay, so this is the Mirrored Men. Sorry, I went off on another tangent. But isn't that what this kind of live streaming is supposed to be for? Okay, so in this video, when Shannon is my co-host that does Highly Strange Days with me, I was working at a substance abuse facility. I was the intake worker and the women's social worker. And this is Hillsdale, Michigan. And this was when I was still doing a Haunted Hillsdale. And we would get these ice storms. And so we got this ice storm, and we lost electricity. Like the whole town would lose electricity during these ice storms. Like the town, it's so bad that the town has its own generator. And so, but some places when the generator wouldn't reach it. So anyway, my facility was closed that day. So I called, and where Shannon was working, it was closed that day. So I called her, and there was this road supposedly that was haunted. It was Church Road in Hillsdale, Michigan. And so we decided to go down that road, and this is a clip of that. Shannon had gotten out and would have to move. I can't even believe that I drove my car down this, but Shannon got out and would have to move the heavy branches because the ice was dragging it down.
Can we push those two, or are they? No, that's fine. Okay.
And this was before camera phones. This was when you actually had to go out with a camcorder. So that's why there's this weird whiteness.
You were stopping for me. Well, I was stopping so you could get in. I wonder if this is Lost Nations, because Bill at work did say that it was in Lost Nations. Uh-oh. Yeah, you should. Can you make it? This is. Do you need me to move that, do you think? Oh, and I forgot to say it said an Amish man with a pitchfork scared some kids away once. But that could actually be a real Amish man. Thanks. As I get out of the car. Yeah. Oh, I forgot.
There are a lot of Amish around this area.
I know she doesn't realize this, but she's going to have to do this the whole way back, too. That one was heavy. Was it? Yeah.
So let me pop it forward.
Amy, I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so happy you're here, and I'm so glad your audio's working.
Yes, me too. I was a little panicked there.
It happens all the time, so I've just learned to pivot. So I was like, okay, in my mind, all right, I guess I can cover all of this.
Well, this is exciting.
I know.
This is like
exciting.
I think it's the first time in 14 or 15 years that we've done this.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow. So this was our first live back together. Shannon and I, like I said, in 2005-ish, when I started Para Women Radio, I've said this before, and I won't say it too long, but Shannon was our chat room moderator, and now she co-hosts with me on Sunday nights. We do paranormal. It's called Highly Strange Days, and this was our first episode back, and we decided to talk about the Mirrored Men.
Gosh, Shannon used to cover the Para World news. Para Women Radio was on the air for like every Thursday night for a good solid 3 years. And she covered the Para World news and the chat. And I sometimes think about it, and I wish that I had just had you as a co-host, but I love the Para World news so much. I didn't want that to end. But anyway, I'm so happy you're here.
Well, thank you. I am happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. So today we're going to talk about this new phenomenon. Well, it's not really new, but it's kind of new to me. I've been hearing about it for about a year or so. It's called the Mirrored Men. Have you heard of it?
I hadn't heard of it until you mentioned it to me earlier this week.
What do you think?
So I had to do a little investigation.
So the Mirrored Men was something that first happened, I believe, on Monsters Among Us podcast. And let's listen to a little bit about it, because they talk about it quite a bit, and this will describe it the best way.
I'm pretty sure it was 3 or 4 men standing in unison.
Within 5 seconds of looking at him, they saw him.
This incident seems very reminiscent of the mirrored men phenomenon.
Mirrored men.
Derek Hayes over at Monsters Among Us podcast has spent years detailing cases involving strange shadowy figures that move in unison.
Have you ever heard of a phenomena called mirrored men?
Mirrored men?
I'd somehow, somewhere lost about 3 or 4 hours.
The mirrored men is a term coined by Hayes to describe a relatively new phenomenon.
Been paying more attention to the mirrored men the more and more I hear.
The mirrored men.
Okay, so this is what I just showed over on Instagram.
I'll let you know if I have any experiences after this.
Yeah, just don't look off into the distance, and especially at night.
Well, since I work from home, I rarely leave my house, so that probably won't be a problem.
Do you ever look outside at night?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Mm-mm. Only when I hear gunshots.
Do you guys ever look outside at night? Because I look outside at night. I do. I like to look at the moon. I like to look at the stars. I like to see what animals I can see. Sometimes I have owls outside. But then I have to remind myself not to look too hard because I really am afraid of seeing these things.
I don't know if I would look for gunshots. I'd be like under the couch.
And I
grew up in Detroit.
Well, yeah, that's true. She did grow up in Detroit, but I grew up near Detroit. I just am not going to look outside for a gunshot. I probably would call, but I'm not going to go outside and look.
So, I don't duck. I go look to see what's going on.
I think that's why I duck. I grew up around Detroit, but I didn't grow up in Detroit. So, okay. So the Paranormal Dads had a podcast on it, and they shared some of the stories, and I thought we could listen to it.
Oh, that sounds great.
As always, I will put the link to the videos in the description box. We never watch the whole thing so that you will go to the channel and watch it yourself. This is Parawoman Radio, day 23 of Livemas. If you could give this live a thumbs up, a heart, whatever you do to show appreciation, it helps us dance out into the algorithm and bring more people back to our party. It's just a free way to help us out. We're streaming over to X, YouTube, and Facebook today. Hi, guys.
Hello.
All right, guys. Main mystery. I have a lesser known phenomena, and I'm not sure if many of our listeners have heard of it. I myself hadn't heard of it until just a year or two ago. Have you ever heard of a phenomena called mirrored men?
I am curious as if the listeners have heard of this phenomenon, mirrored men. Put it in the comments if you've ever heard of this, or even better, if you've ever experienced it.
No,
I have.
Mirrored.
Have you?
Men. Oh, of course, Pat has. No, I've not heard of this.
It's when I first heard it, and I'm going to give a shout out to one of my favorite podcasts called Monsters Among Us.
Mm-hmm.
It's a call-in show where callers who've had paranormal happenings.
It's a great show. If you guys haven't watched it, it's one of my favorite shows. I will listen to it. I will put the mood lighting on at night and turn everything off and just lay in the dark and listen to it. And it's one of my most favorite things to do. Isn't that weird? My mood lighting just shut off as I was talking about the mood lighting.
Call and share their stories. And this mirrored man phenomena has been sprinkled throughout episodes over the last few years. When I first heard it, I thought, what is it? What is a mirrored man? Is that like a man who looks like a mirror and he's all shimmery and shiny like the UFO we saw last night?
Right.
But apparently what it is people.
And Shannon, if you want to want me to stop it, to say something, just, say stop it and we can discuss. Okay.
Okay.
Who see, it's usually 2 or 3 men together. Usually they're dressed in similar clothes, usually black, and they call them mirrored men because their movements mirror one another, almost like synchronized swimmers.
Okay.
And I know this doesn't sound scary. It is positively terrifying stuff.
It is. Yes.
Now, does it seem like it's like a Men in Black type thing, or what's the difference between this and Men in Black?
A couple key elements. Not all of the mirrored men reports are occurring after a UFO sighting, so
Okay.
they just occur. Secondly, there's a component of missing time. So usually when people see mirrored men, they experience quite a bit of missing time. In fact, more so than some of the well-known UFO encounters that we've covered.
Usually a number of hours.
Several hours, yeah. So I started listening to these, and I mean, it's been documented several
It's not usually, it's always, you always lose time. I've never, well, no, there was one story I heard, but the girl did what the dad had said, look away and walk away as quick as you can. That's what, she's the only one that didn't miss time that I've heard encountered them.
times on Monsters Among Us.
That's true. Now that I remember myself saying that, I remember that there was a dad that told the kids, look away, run away, walk away as fast as you can, or something like that. And they did that, and they didn't lose time. So that's like it blazed into my mind too, that like if I ever see anything like that, try to like really not stare at it.
And I it takes a lot to scare me, because I usually drift off to sleep listening to stuff like this.
Same. It takes a lot to scare me, and this scares me.
Yep.
I'm the opposite. I
There's
get
one
scared at
episode
the smallest thing.
Oh, do you? Oh,
yes.
So it's a hard gauge for you if this is truly scary.
Yeah, true. Yes.
Scared me to my very core. I actually had to shut the podcast off and watch some like cat videos on YouTube to relax, because it scared me to my core.
I love that mental picture of you watching something terrifying, and then 2 seconds later,
probably completely threw off my algorithm.
I do the same thing, but I tell people, even with the true crime, to go watch cat videos or something, or dog videos, or I watch elephant, and right now monkey videos are my favorite things. So, but I do watch a lot of animal videos to kind of decompress and get my humanity back.
So Google, like, who is this guy? What? He's a psychopath.
He's curled up in the bed in the fetal position, singing soft kitty, warm kitty.
Exactly. And the Google AI is just like, what?
It's like a nothing.
This guy. He's up, he's down, he's left, he's right.
So I'm gonna share with you a couple of mirrored men accounts that I've stumbled across. One has to do it actually takes place in Florida, Eddie, back in your old neck of the woods.
Nice.
And it wasn't very specific, but this lady said it took place in rural Florida, 2014 in the fall. And it was a lady who,
I don't say where it is, but I'm in rural Florida.
went with a friend of hers, and they were known to kind of go out and hike and camp in rural areas. So they got there, she said, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They quickly set up their camp in their tent, so they didn't have to bother with that later. They went for a hike, and she said they had been walking for an hour or so, and there was a tree line in front of them, maybe 100 yards or so. And she said they caught, just almost out of the corner of their eye, they caught some sort of glowing orb or something come out of the sky and go down behind the tree line. They weren't really sure if it was if it was a UFO, if it was a meteor, if it was, something explainable, but they thought it was weird. And a few minutes later, they just keep going because they want to go explore and investigate to see if whatever this thing was crashed. Well, a few minutes later, they caught a glimpse of what looked like three people, or the shadow of three gentlemen that were walking just on the other side of the tree line. So as these ladies get closer to the wood line, they see the three figures, the three men walking, and she had a hard time describing what their attire was like, because she said they were dressed in black, but it was a outfit that she had never seen before. She said it was kind of like a jumpsuit, but kind of like a robe. And she said their movements, the way that they walked, was completely in sync, to the point where it creeped them out. And keep in mind, this is a rural area. There should be no other people out there, let alone doing something so odd. And the scariest thing, they're moving across their line of vision, the three gentlemen.
I think if I originally didn't know about the mirrored men, and if I had seen that, I would have thought it was like a performance piece, or like a flash mob or something like that.
Oh, absolutely. I would have done the same thing. In fact, as I'm listening to these stories, all I'm picturing is the monkeys. Hey, we're the monkeys when they walk and they cross their legs.
That's what I picture too, and just doing it in unison. Oh.
It helps it not be so scary.
Yeah, it does.
Women are moving across their line of vision from left to right, and when they get directly in front of these two ladies, the three gentlemen freeze, and they turn their head to look at the ladies at the same exact moment. And she said at that moment she felt a sense of dread or terror, and a split second later they wake up or come to, and it's nighttime. And when this occurred, it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So you're thinking fall, it's getting dark, maybe around 6 o'clock.
That's another thing about them. It happens day and night, so you're not safe in the day.
Ish, depending on what part of the fall it was. So we're missing 5 hours there. She says she has no idea what happened, but something about the effect that the stare from these mirrored men had on them. And when they woke up and it was dark, all they had was a flashlight, so they had to navigate their way back to their campsite, which took a lot longer than expected. And
He's not even saying like the terrifying thing is that there's a story that I heard where a young kid, he just wakes up and like it's 9 o'clock and he just gets up and he has this urge to go look outside. So he's looking outside and he sees them, coming across the field. It's snowing and there shouldn't be anybody out, yada, yada, yada. He's watching, and then out of the blue, he doesn't know how, because you really can't see their faces, but it's like all of a sudden they're aware you're looking at them. And they all turn in unison and they look at you. And then you lose your time.
Can you imagine that? Like their heads turning in unison to look at you?
No.
I read one of this story about them where they stood still with their back to the person, but their heads turned all the way around 180.
Yeah.
And then after they looked at him for a minute, then they kept going. So they did a whole complete 360 with their heads.
Yeah, and the person said that when they were turning the heads, they were doing it like in slow motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not for me.
No, thank you.
Run away as fast as you can, or whatever.
Right.
It is. So I think that's like pretty good.
Does that not sound like terrifying to you? Would you want to run into these, whatever they are? Like, you don't even have to be out in public. You can look out your house and it happen.
An amount of stories, because they'll just be the same stories over and over again. Nobody quite knows exactly what it is. They're pretty sure it's connected to the UFO alien type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Men in Black, they have connected it to them. There was a story that you sent me, but it was a little bit different. It was only 2 people, right?
Yes, there were 2 people, and they weren't dressed in black. They were in dirty, ripped jeans, the guy said.
Yeah.
And it was in the Australian outback, I guess.
Were they
that was
moving
interesting.
in unison? Did it say that?
Yeah. Yep. They moved towards him in unison, and then they split like a mirror, and they went around him, and then they joined back together and then kept walking.
Wow.
And it was when they like went over the hill and he couldn't see them anymore is when he blacked out and came to, and it was hours later.
Yeah, that sounds like but the mirror thing, like.
Actually, you know what? I think that is that that Australian encounter. So let's pop over here and look at it really quick. So this is that Australian encounter that Shannon was just talking about.
Shandani Kistani, author of the books Eerie Tales 1 and 2, received a strange report in the early 2000s involving a police officer named Terrence. Now retired, Terrence felt it was time to tell his story of what he encountered one afternoon while out on patrol in the Australian outback. Terrence claims that at the time he was out perusing a remote area on his BMW R1150 RT police bike, it was dusty and he decided to pull off on the first adjacent road and clean the collected dirt off his visor. The road was quiet, and he noted that trees lined both sides of the road. He took a sip of water and proceeded to use the water to clean off his gear. As he looked around the isolated lane, he began to hear the faint sound of an engine roar. The burring sound was coming from the far end of the road. He slipped on his helmet and inched his bike forward. The roaring sound became louder. Ahead, near a bend, was a raised earth platform. He assumed it was reserved housing estate land. Although he couldn't see the source of the sound from the road level, a rising cloud of dust made it obvious that the sound was coming from the higher ground. Terrence proceeded to stop his bike and make his way up the steep slope. He struggled to make the 2-meter climb, using his hands to pull him over the edge of the slope. He glanced over and observed, about 50 meters away, an old black 1953 Chevrolet going around in circles. Terrence tried to see if the driver was all right, wondering if he may have had a heart attack or had something that rendered him unconscious, but the sun's glare on the Chevy's windscreen and the red cloud of dust surrounding the car made it impossible. Concerned, Terrence pulled himself over the slope and stood on the edge of the plateau. He could see everything. He didn't know why a car would be going in circles like that, and given where he was certain the driver could see him and must have recognized that he was a cop. For whatever reason, the driver kept going in circles. Terrence waved at the driver to get his attention, but the driver never stopped. I wonder if the driver has been shot and his foot remains weighted down on the accelerator pedal, or maybe some hoons are playing around with a stolen car, or maybe this, or maybe that. I forced myself to stop assuming and gather the courage to investigate. As Terrence made his way toward the vehicle, he began to get a cold chill up his spine. He looked into the window, and occasionally, when the glass was not reflecting the bright light of the sun, he was able to make out that there were two very large people with long hair inside, sitting in the front seats. Given the length of the hair, Terrence assumed that they might be females, but big ones. Terrence approached the vehicle cautiously, getting to within 20 meters when the vehicle stopped. For some reason, Terrence recalled that the sight of the stopped car frightened him, and he actually considered turning around and leaving. He didn't. Waiting until the dust settled, Terrence was finally able to get a good look at the two people inside the car. He ordered them out of the vehicle, but they did not move. Terrence began to grow angry and ordered them a second time to exit the vehicle. This time they did. As they stepped out, he could see them clearly. Their faces were expressionless. They stood easily 7 feet tall. The strangest thing? They looked exactly alike. They were also both wearing sunglasses, although these were unlike anything Terrence had ever seen before. I have never seen mirror glasses that shine like them. They vary in their colors, sometimes blue, sometimes red, sometimes a shade of green, and even reflect a peculiar sound, a machine-like ringing sound. What makes it strange is that the ringing only happens when I see the glare of the sun in the mirrored lenses. The sound seems to come out from my own ears. Terrence became increasingly more frightened as the situation progressed, though his training allowed him to maintain a straight face. He hadn't pulled his weapon yet, fearing that the two men would assume he was a threat. As they stared at each other, the two men suddenly sidestepped away from the Chevy so that they were now fully exposed. The weird thing to Terrence was that when they stepped away from the vehicle, it was completely in sync, like he was watching a mirror image of the same person. Both men wore torn, mud-stained jeans held up by leather belts, and disheveled shirts neither tucked in nor out. Terrence wondered if they were playing with him. Just then, the two men began to walk towards him, their arms at their sides. Terrence ordered them to halt, but they didn't. They continued to advance in his direction. Feeling his life was in danger, Terrence ordered them to stop and raise their hands. Even though they are not carrying weapons, I feel nervous, and I tremble with every step they take closer to me. Since they haven't stopped, I feel no other choice but to draw my weapon, and I do. As the two lanky figures get closer, moving in sync, Terrence can see even clearer now how they appear to be mirror images of each other. They seem unfazed by the gun. Eventually, the two men stepped away from each other, moving away at angles as if to get around the officer. Since they were not carrying firearms, Terrence allowed them to continue to walk apart and encircle him. They walked to within 20 meters of either side of him, eventually forming a straight line on either side of him. Terrence became quite uncertain of what to do. If they both came at him, would he have time to defend himself, he wondered? The two men just kept walking, eventually turning their faces away from him, as if he wasn't there. This angered Terrence, who ordered them to stop. They did not. He even assumed that maybe they were deaf, which was why they were not responding to his commands. Terrence watched as they continued to walk up the slope away from him. Then they did something so bizarre, it caused Terrence to question if what he was seeing was real. They stop right at the edge of the plateau. They are in coordination no matter what they do. Then their heads turn. Just the heads, not the bodies. I get ready to shout out, "Get on the ground," but they do something that shoots icy arrows up my spine. Their heads have turned as much as any human's head can turn, but they don't stop there. Their heads turn some more. They have now turned 180 degrees, but they still do not stop. Their heads have turned a complete circle, 360 degrees. These men can't be humans, I scream in my head. The sight of this became too much for the officer, who fell to his knees. My knees jellify and hit the ground.
Isn't it interesting that he said in his head that these men can't be humans? Because that was when we watched the 911 call last week where this man, something jumped in the back of his truck, and on the 911 call, you hear a big thump, and then the guy says, "There's something in the back," and then all of a sudden he screams, "That's not human!" And over on Reddit, they were saying that's one of the reasons they didn't believe him, because nobody would say that. But here this guy is saying in his head, "That's not human."
My face is numb, and my jaw hangs loosely as my vision spirals. With absolute indifference to a nervous gun pointed at their backs, the spindly giants calmly walk down the slope and disappear behind the dark horizon. Seeing them gone, I'm able to breathe again. In the midst of the excitement, I had forgotten about the Chevy. Turning around, Terrence was shocked to see that the Chevy was gone. It hadn't driven away on its own, nor was it buried in the sand. It was just gone. From there, things went off the rails. Terrence remembered feeling an intense desire to vomit. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, it was now dark out. When he knelt down, it was still the afternoon. However, when he opened his eyes, seconds later, it was now nighttime.
Thank you. I don't know what's wrong. I've been sneezing and coughing a little bit. I don't know if it has something to do with like allergies or something, or if I don't think I'm getting sick, but also when I'm getting a flare, I'll get stuffy and stuff. So I really hope that's not that. But hey, Carrie 28, it's good to see you. And thank you.
Time. He was still in the kneeling position. God, how long have I been kneeling like this, he wondered. He eventually returned to his motorcycle and left the area. Fearing ridicule by his fellow officers, Terrence never spoke of the bizarre incident. He waited until he was retired to tell author Castani about the experience.
Sorry about that. That made my eyes start to water, and I put some eye makeup on today, and so then my eyes started burning. Who knew a sneeze could be so dangerous? Okay, let's pop back over to what we were watching with Shannon and I. What do you guys think? Do you think that was a mirrored men encounter? Because that is a very different encounter, but maybe it's somebody that remembers more of the encounter, because I know that a lot of the other people lose time. And so maybe that's the stuff that happens when they lose time.
Breaking apart like a mirror. That's wow.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting. But there's another aspect to the mirror men that I read about a few times that I haven't heard mentioned yet. And it could be when I was putting my earphones in my ears because I missed it like a couple seconds. But I've read a few accounts where they talk about the girth of the people, how when you're looking at them full on, they look normal. But then when they turn to the side, they're paper thin.
You know, I think I've read that, or they're like stretched. They're like really stretched looking, like that old doll that used to be able to stretch its arms apart. They say,
oh yeah, Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, Stretch Armstrong.
Mm-hmm.
I've read that they can do that too.
Oh.
Well, obviously, if they can turn their head and not their bodies.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
I don't know. It scares me.
It is. It's very scary.
It is very scary.
Especially you living in rural Florida.
Well, you're in practically rural Michigan.
I forgot. I completely forgot that this incident happened in rural Florida. I mean, you know, now that I remember, because sometimes at night, like I like to walk to the dumpster, and that's when I'll take my garbage out, because like I said, I like to look up at the sky and do stuff. And I remember after we did this, I stopped for a while, so I probably will stop again for a while. But here is a drawing, supposedly, of the mirrored men. This was also, Shannon and I talked about classic paranormal investigator equipment.
I feel like it could happen anywhere.
That's true. That is true. Ooh, I see your pictures that you just put up on the screen. Look at that.
Yeah, fancy. So those are the three men. They look normal, but usually you can't really see their faces very well. And they don't usually have hair. I've never had them described as hair.
Are they seriously doing jazz hands?
It looks like it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
This is a drawing from Monsters Among Us. So apparently somebody who has witnessed it has put that out there. Let me move us around so that we can. There we go. So next we're going to talk about the new fangled and some of the old fangled ghost hunting equipment. What should every ghost hunter have in her bag? Shannon and I used to do.
Okay, so that was our little segment on the mirrored men. Let's pop back here and see if his story sounds like a mirrored man.
It's so scary. So I'm laying there, dude. I go with it. I'm like, all right, cool. I passed like the scary spot, and this is when I get inception to where I'm like, oh, that was weird. Thank God I woke.
I'm going to take it back just a few seconds for those that might not have been here when we were watching it. So he was talking about his paranormal story, and I said, oh, that sounds like a mirrored man. experience. And so it took us off on a mirrored men tangent.
Three bros coming right at you.
3 bros,
One
one
of them's
top
clearly
hat,
the boss.
2 without. It's so,
Okay, so
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's talking about having sleep paralysis, and that these 3 men were coming at him with a top hat.
Fucked up.
What the fuck is this thing, dude?
You're talking
We
about
gotta get to the
you're talking about
bottom
the
of this.
collective unconscious. These are the archetypes that are built into the base of the human psyche. So for some reason, dudes in top hats with two boys.
3
It's like,
bros coming
yeah,
right at you.
3 bros,
One
one
of them's
top
clearly
hat,
the boss.
2 without. It's so scary. So I'm laying there, dude. I go with it. I'm like, all right, cool. I passed like the scary spot, and this is when I get inception to where I'm like, oh, that was weird. Thank God I woke up.
Yeah.
But then what happens is I'm like, the thing rattles me so much that I lose my bearings. So I wake up and I'm walking around my room, and I'm like, man, I can't use my feet that well. And I'm like, the fuck's going on? And like, and now I'm in like a totally different place. I don't realize I'm dreaming. I'm just walking around like a different house, and there's like 3 kids in a bed. And I was like, hey guys, and they were just completely different kids, and they were like, ah, ah. And I was like, oh shit. And I start getting like,
Wouldn't that be crazy if he was going in like in a dream state, you are a ghost in somebody's house, like he's the ghost in a live awaking person's house? That would be crazy.
super confused, like, where the fuck am I? And I'm walking around. It was that, and I'd wake up. Oh, thank God I'm awake. And I'd walk out of my room and back into some weird setting. I did this like 5 times last night. It was like 5 successive dreams. And then finally Brittany tapped me with her foot, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm in my room.
Well, you must have been,
bro. I was fugged.
That sounds like a horrible loop to be in. How long do y'all think it's going to take the government to admit that we do have a super secret alien department, Men in Black? I don't know. I want to know, like, why it's been kept from us for so long. Like, there must be a real dramatic reason that they've, like, basically gaslit us for years and years and years. And now all of a sudden they're having governmental hearings about it and stuff. Like, there must be some kind of danger element to it for them to, or is it also that the aliens are going to come and free us from something? Like, there's also the real possibility of that too. Like, they're going to come and tell us, like, there was this one story that Shannon gave us recently where there's some meteor, something in space that's coming by us, and they think that it's sending this message to hold on, that they're coming to save us. They're going to be here soon. So, I don't know. Wouldn't that be something that when they finally get here, like, the world becomes like some kind of Garden of Eden or something? It just becomes like the most amazing place to be. Can you imagine that all this time it's been our governments that have been holding us back, and it is the few elite that have been living this high life that we all could be living, which to a certain extent, that's the truth that has been going on. So I'm a crazy conspiracist though. Conspiracies rattle around in my brain. People couldn't handle it. Well, I have a feeling that it's going to happen, that they're going to have to learn to handle it. And they're kind of unveiling it slowly to us. Or the other possibility is that it's just all government that's doing it, and they're going to make us think that there's a real alien threat, and they will be the only ones that can protect us, but we must follow their laws and rules, and that will be the only way we can be protected. There's a real possibility that could happen, and that's happening, and that it's all governmental stuff that, they do want to get one. They don't want to have different countries. They want one global, and they will trick us into doing that with an alien invasion. There's a real possibility of that too. I've been talking, like when I first got ChatGPT, and if you believe ChatGPT, that what's happening right now is more governmental than real alien stuff. Like the aliens aren't, like it's not happening yet, but it's not. This is more our government just kind of getting us ready for it. But this is all conspiracies and woo-woo stuff, and there's a real part of me that doesn't believe this stuff too at the same time. I'm just like a weird kind of mix of, could it be? I don't know, but it's certainly something that I like to talk about and talk about the what ifs, and maybe it's why I like to talk about true crime, because I always thought, like, I have a plan now if I ever get attacked, and maybe I'm working out my paranormal plan here too. I don't know, but I do like to talk about conspiracies. But to me, also conspiracies is like a form of debate. Like it's not like, it's like, doesn't necessarily mean it's true. If you talk about it, you're debating it back and forth, the possibilities, the what ifs. The same with true crime, you debate the case aspects of it, the what ifs, the possibilities. All right, let's see if he's done with this story, and I will decide what I want to do next.
I'm sorry.
I'm a little hungry, so I think I'm going to have to end it pretty soon and go eat, and then get my Florida Woman Friday stuff together and come back.
As you were, kids.
Who are these kids?
It's kind of cool though, because when you finally come back, dude, it's like wake up dream, and you get like really disoriented. And when you come back too, I had a glow all morning. I was just like, man, this is great. You're so happy to be
back in life.
You're happy to be back, dude, in this dimension.
You're seeing me right now after a full coma.
Buffalo. So I'm in Buffalo, right? So I'm staying there.
That sounds like a scary dimension to be in. Actually, quite frightening. Nowhere I think I'd want to be. Like, I'm really glad I don't have sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis. I think I actually am starting to get a flare because I'm starting to forget words. And that's another symptom of my flare. I've been really stressed out this week. And Olga, you called it. You told me to relax, that I was going to flare myself. And darn it, if I'm not flaring myself. But maybe if I'm just really kind to myself, I can just ride this one out where it's not too bad. Does anyone else, do any of my other audience members, do you have autoimmunes? Because I've got autoimmunes. I am a stressed out person. I worry about too much, or I don't worry about enough. And I've developed autoimmunes. Did I hear about the vent baby chick and her verdict, or about Jake? Oh, I haven't heard about Jake Harrow yet. I was thinking about him just the other day. Is there something new on him? And what about the mom? What was her name? Rachel? Rebecca? Can't think of the mom's name. I think I'm going to do a live with Lindsay from the Linzer Show. We're going to actually talk about Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories that have been going on. If you're interested at all in the Charlie Kirk case. Oh, he pled guilty yesterday? She's still fighting? We'll have to do a catch up on that case, because that's movement. Interesting that she's still fighting. So in his pleading guilty, did he have to say what he did? Is he giving an explanation on what happened? Oh, well, I'll have to look it up. Maybe Saturday we'll do an update on cases because there's a few cases that there's been a little bit of movement on. He didn't even get a plea deal? Like, they're not going to use him to go after her? Okay, guys, what do you guys think? Are you a believer in the paranormal, and do you like the comedy aspect that's been coming to the paranormal? I'm all for it because I love to laugh. I'm a Gen Xer, and I love comedy and just about anything I do. If we can laugh while we're doing it, all the better for me. He just pled straight up guilty. All right, we'll have to take a peek at that and see what's going on. Okay, guys, I'm going to head out. Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Check to see if you're subscribed. And remember this, if nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I'm still going to tell you guys this. I love you guys so, so much. And I'll see you next time. And I'm going to be back in probably give me about a half hour to at the most an hour, but probably like a half hour. I'm going to eat, get the baby bird, whatever, pull up some stuff for Florida Woman Friday, and I'll see you in just a little bit. You believe in the paranormal? Good. I'm glad you're here then. Taboo. Thank you, Carrie28, for being here. Thank you, Kim, for hanging out. Thank you, Jessica, for being here. I think you dipped a little while ago, but thank you for being here. Thank you for everyone that hung out with us. Thank you. If I missed you, thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you, Kim, for being here. Pittman Adams, thank you for being here. Monisha, thank you. William Finley, and everyone else, thank you. You're here. Yay. Okay, guys, I'll see you in a little bit. If nobody's told you this today, and if I don't see you in a little bit, I'm telling you guys this. I love you guys. I really do. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.